Is it on there?
We can make sure the microphone.
Would it be on, would it be on the one down?
Probably not.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna call, the meeting of Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, to order. If we can stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And just for the knowledge of the public, we did do a walkthrough at Bolton Field, which we'll be talking about in our meeting. Before we call for public comment, are there any amendments to the agenda that anybody wants to make? Additions or anything? Okay. So we'll start with public comment. Maybe Kyle, I'll have you get up and introduce yourself first, and then we'll take,
Yeah.
if you don't mind hobbling over to the podium.
Say, what the guy sit?
We got a guy now. Good evening, everyone. So my name is Kyle Cleveland. I'm a town resident, and I had seen, while doing some vehicle registration information, the opening for town rec committee, so figured that I would put my name on the list and see if I could be an asset in any way, shape, or form. So more than happy to try and help out wherever I can.
So, anybody have any specific questions? I think Kyle had reached out to Naomi. We had indicated to Kyle that generally if we have individuals interested in joining the commission, they need to attend the first meeting. There's a form that would need to be filled out. You can grab it off the website.
Yeah, I had submitted that to Naomi, and then at that point, she had said, yep, just make sure you attend make sure you attend one, and then at that point, figure out from
We're in the
there.
process too of, and we'll be doing that tonight, talking about membership.
Great.
How many terms and all of that, but it will, at least we know of your interest, we have your application.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys have specific questions for Kyle.
Do you have any background with?
Yeah, so previously, I was working as a sales member of a sporting goods store in Ludlow, Vermont, and at that point, it was something that we were working very close with the community as far as establishing a mountain biking network, some skate park duties, and things of that nature. So it was just one of those things that it was a slightly biased position where I was coming in from the retail side of the world, but of course, it was something that got to hear about how fundraising for the town scarecrow contest, what they were getting organized as far as kind of a Thanksgiving food drive. Being a smaller community, their parks and rec certainly accommodate a lot more of the recreation side of the world and community aspect of it. So,
Okay. And are you aware there's kind of not a huge, but a big time commitment to the committee membership?
yeah, as far as the only thing that I was informed was just seeing on the little registration page the second Tuesday of every month, but certainly can be open from there, discuss what other requirements are there.
I think some of those include like spring and fall, a couple hours cleanup,
Yeah.
getting ready for the winter.
Yeah.
Like today, an extra hour where we do a walkthrough at a field.
Yeah, makes sense.
Those kinds of things. If we have a community activity, sometimes we try to look for members to volunteer there, that kind of stuff, like the pumpkin hunt and things like that.
Yeah, certainly makes a ton of sense, and hearing about Bolton Park, I mean, just as far as doing some pruning around that area and other things, so,
Cool.
Okay, sounds like have an idea what you're getting into.
a little one.
Any other questions for Kyle? So I assume you're going to stay and listen?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
hang out,
thoughts?
for sure.
Wave at us, and we're happy to
Sounds
hear
great.
any comments.
Thank you all
Right,
for your
you're
time.
welcome. Thanks, Kyle.
So is this my turn?
Your turn, Joanne.
Okay.
So maybe you could just introduce yourself and the
Yeah.
topic you're going to be talking about.
Absolutely. So I'm here with Jessica Potter. I'm Joanne Gagnon. I'm involved as a board member at Lake Horace Landowners Association, or actually it's corporation. It's a nonprofit here in Ware, New Hampshire that tries to manage the quality of the water at Lake Horace. And we are looking to grow our community relationship, as I mentioned at a previous meeting. And today I was here because I've done a lot of due diligence and a lot of preparation for August 2nd to put together a movie night, which we discussed. As far as planning is concerned, obviously, not knowing how many people will attend, we're going to look at how many people can attend from a parking perspective, and we're going to pull that back a little based on the numbers we were given, because obviously we're going to need a place for the people to be able to walk safely, for us to have ice cream trucks in a safe location where kids won't get hurt, that kind of stuff. So we have a ground layout. Jess and I both walked the property. We have right now 2 potential proposed locations. One of those locations would be in front of the bathrooms, because that is where the power source is. The second option would be, and the one we would prefer, would be because it's elevated on the beach, there's a lot more real estate for chairs and blankets, which is how people will have to attend. And we're thinking that even though a generator is loud, that it might be our better resource if we put it behind the unused bathroom building, or whatever that is, bathhouse. And the reason that I say that is because I'm concerned that
We think there's power.
We're kind of looking, I was kind of looking to my wife and back up, is
There
there?
was supposed to be power at that old,
we walked it and couldn't see it.
street, the light that's.
There is a lamppost there.
Yeah, so
We got some,
Well, we own a generator, and we're prepared to bring it with us as a resource, as a backup, in case this can't be figured out. We think we need to do a trial run. Obviously, no one's done this yet. We didn't want to really use the bathroom electricity, because our concern is if that's on like a pump for the septic system, which I'm assuming it is a septic system, like everyone else on the water, that could cause surges in the power, which might affect the movie. Don't know that will happen, but it's a possibility.
I don't think that there's an issue with the power there, Kristen, do you know?
With bathrooms, it's fine.
Yeah.
So maybe what we can do, again, just to make sure we cover all the unknowns, but at the same time keeping it moving, if we could maybe identify a couple of things. I would be happy to meet you up there
Sure.
one day and just say, let's go
And walk it with us.
validate all those things. Maybe we could do it on a day when you're working, Kristen, so you could be involved in it. We definitely want her there. So
Yeah.
let's make sure we're identifying,
Well, we have an actual
Power.
layout that we can provide to you, that we did a map of the location, and the only reason we're proposing 2 locations is without having run a test, it's impossible to know which one is the right one. Ideally, so in continuing on what we want to do and what we have completed, the movie night would be called REEL, R-E-E-L, Lake-Tastic Movie Night at Chase Park. Things we've completed, the movie's going to be, provided we get a permit, How to Train a Dragon, the very first movie, and that's PG. We would start the movie at dusk, or approximately 8 o'clock in August is roughly when dusk is. We would open the gates at 6:30 with people starting events at 7, and we're going to have lawn games that will be managed by volunteers. At the moment, I have at least 11 people committed to volunteer that night, to park, to make sure cars don't park on the road, to verify that people have their prepaid tags, to make sure that we don't get, more people than we intended, that type of thing. So there'll be a lot of people milling about. We've already purchased T-shirts for both women and men that say volunteers on them, so that any small child that gets away from their parent can approach someone safely and find their mom and dad. And also, if anyone has questions or needs help, there'll be somebody that they can turn to for that assistance. Somebody will help manage the gate, collecting tickets and passing out wristbands to every participant. We've already purchased that. We have the licensing for the movie, and Jess has brought them with you in case you want to see them. We purchased the movie already, we've purchased the licensing, we've met with the police department, and they will volunteer an officer for this evening to manage the roadway, because it is just one way in and one way out. So for safety reasons, we thought that was prudent. They thought one officer would be enough to manage that, and they're going to donate their time. We reached out to the fire department, and they too said that we may have to pay for one tech. We do not need an ambulance. They're going to see if they can find a volunteer, and if they cannot, it's $159 at $53 per hour. I'm estimating 3 to 4 hours, so somewhere around $160-ish, and I have an approved budget of $1,200 from the association to pay for the things that we're doing at this event. Our plan is to charge $30 per car load. So, and we're thinking like, what's a carload? Maybe 4 to 6 people. So that's about $5 a person. We want to sell the car tickets first to make sure that those people get in first. If for some reason people came in on the boat, we're going to make sure that they understand they can only drop off at the dock. And it'll be managed by 2 volunteers collecting the $5 in cash per person to attend. Again, everyone will have a wristband. We're not really advertising that first. We're going to advertise cars first because we're not sure if we can manage it all, right? We need to know roughly what our numbers are. So we'll have 2 people at the dock, making sure nobody parks their boat there permanently, making sure people are getting off safely, and making sure they're paying and they're getting their ticket and being directed back up to the park itself. In addition to that, we're going to put up posters. We're going to have a Facebook advertising. This is very short notice, obviously, given the time frame that we had. So we've already prepared all the posters in preparation. They specifically say no alcohol, and they specifically say no swimming. And we've actually purchased police tape, and we're going to stake in front of the beach area near the water and roll out the police tape to discourage swimmers, and we'll have volunteers on the beach to pull people back if they try to swim. We don't want the liability. We assume you don't either. And we thought that might be prudent since there's not going to be a lifeguard on duty at that time. That's not what this is for. So I'm not sure what else I can share with you. I don't have a lot left I have to do other than get a permit and an approval and start selling tickets. The only thing that I haven't adjusted at this point is a rain date. I'm thinking the following day. Everything will hinge on whether or not I can move my permit to do this with the movie licensing to another day, because I've already paid for that. Because that was like $395 for the movie license. So
one of the things that and Kristen, if I ask a question, or you just feel free to jump in or hop up to the microphone. The park is open to the public, so there potentially could be people already
I know.
there. Open till 8?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the question I had written down.
Yeah.
Would we need to close at 6?
So I think that's one of the things I'd like to throw out to the commission members and talk about, because it's an event, something that we're trying to establish. Would we be okay with publicly announcing, putting on our webpage, and that the park will close that evening, say at 6 or 5:30, so it gets emptied out before folks come back in, and really publicize that, maybe even get some signs for you. I think that would make it easier. Otherwise, we never know how many people are going to be there.
correct. That is a concern, and I guess the other thing I was wondering is, if you do put it on your page, would you be mentioning that this is the reason?
Yeah, so the other thing that I wrote down, so I wrote 3 things down that I think we would want to continue to follow up on. The power. I would like to have, if we go up there and look at that with Kristen there, I'd like to talk about traffic. Kristen knows really well from opening day in the mornings where traffic
yeah.
backs up, and if we could even have a plan that traffic was directed further up, so it's not so much on the street, but that was something maybe we could talk about.
Will the police manage that? Won't they manage that as well with signage and such?
Well, I think the
Or
police.
do we have to tell them?
I think they're going to be looking to us, and I would be looking to Kristen to say, hey, what can we do to get more of the cars in while we're checking the tickets.
Correct.
So it's not so close to the gates.
I totally agree with you, and I think that's the thing that I'm the most concerned
But
about.
I don't know that we need to talk about that here tonight, but if we were going to go look at the power, that was one thing. And the
Right.
third thing I had was how can we, Parks and Rec, use our town page and our Facebook page to help promote, at the same time communicating if we agree to shut the park down early, that we would do that.
I think that an immediate question that people are going to have is if we have purchased a car ticket and we're at the park during the day, are we allowed to just stay through? And I think that we need to have an answer to that already in place and also push that information out already. And
That's a good
like be very clear about it.
Yeah, I mean,
It'd be a
it-
separate deal.
So really, the park should be, are you thinking that the park should really be closed at 5 or 5:30 that day? So that you have time to come in and get set up, and that we have time to clean up? Kristen, I'm asking you to. I have no issue closing the park down. I think that we have flexible hours and we're using this for something for the town, so I think it's a great thing, but.
What are your thoughts as far as,
How long will your setup take? I saw.
we're not exactly sure. I put 5, but I think it's 4. My concern is just because this is 100% unknown. Like, none of us have done this. No one here has experience with it. My husband is going to be the person sort of managing the technical aspect. We have set it up one time in our driveway, just to make sure that everything works, and it does. But, it's a whole new thing to go to a park where we don't know where the power is. We're definitely going to be working to not have to rely on an internet situation, because we're not sure if that'll be shaky, because it is shaky out here sometimes in the summer. So we are trying to prepare for all of the things that might go wrong. I mean, could we start it and it doesn't start? Yikes. But I would hope not.
well, I kind of look at this from the perspective, I mean, we all want this to be a great success. And wouldn't it be wonderful if it could become an annual event?
It would be cool.
And I think the first time you do anything, you learn the good and you learn what you
Exactly.
need to change. So I think we all have to come into it with the attitude of flexibility,
Correct.
ability to change our mind quickly.
Yes. To make decisions on the
Yeah,
fly.
and then maybe post August 2nd, we get together and we talk about, I'd want to hear from Kristen.
Oh, yeah, great
feedback
idea.
from her staff, from you guys, yeah. What went well, what could have gone better, what would we change if we did it again? So I think if we can all keep an open mind and be flexible,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that this is the first time, it gets us where we need to be.
So having some experience with doing stuff outdoors at at Chase with Scouts. We do an overnight there.
Yes.
And we usually do like a kind of dinner, barbecue, hang out at the lake kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it would be a good idea to shut the park at 5. And then people can come in, start setting up, and you have plenty of time. You want to have excess time to deal with problems instead
Right.
of being on a time crunch. That also, when you brought up the idea of, are there people who are going to have tickets already purchased, but their cars are going to have to leave? We don't want to shut down at 6 and then say they can be back at 6:30. If we shut
Fair.
down at 5.
That's a fair comment, yeah.
There's plenty of time people go home and clean up. But
That's fair.
Biggest thing, if we shut down at 5, you have plenty of time to get set up and running. If people are running late, if the ice cream truck's late, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I could see how
That's
that
what I
would
would propose.
give people heartburn
You
if
also
we.
have an arrival of between 6 and 7:30 come and,
Yeah,
show up, so then you don't have everybody showing up at the same time.
yeah.
So then my follow-up is also going to be for anyone purchasing day passes that day. Are we going to do a discount?
I think, Kristen, we would post ahead of time, just like when we sometimes close the park, if we have to close because it's all of a sudden thundering, we don't refund money.
Okay.
And Kristen and her staff would be letting people know when they come in.
Okay.
We are closing consistently, we are closing 5, and it's probably, Kristen, you've got that sign, right? It'd also probably be up.
Change it.
Okay.
I think with heads up notice, it should
Yeah, I
be
just want to make sure
on
things are
person to figure it
conveyed.
out. That's,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a good point to bring up.
Okay.
Kristen, what are your concerns? What can we do to make this
No,
as
this
easy
is
for you?
way above, like, your planning and everything is way above what I even thought, so thank you for including me on the emails.
Of course.
It's made it like such a pleasure so that I could walk in here tonight with just one question, because everything else has
Wonderful.
been answered.
Thank you. Jess and I tried to look at it because she's run events for school and I've run events for work. So we were trying to look at it, how can we make it easy for everyone to understand our vision and then help us get there. I think the most important thing is, like you said, just being super flexible that day and try not to let it get us down if we have a moment and just keep going. I think it's going to be super fun, I really do. And I didn't mention this, but all the proceeds from this are going to Parks and Recs as a donation to try to help with, obviously, your limited budget and the things that you need to accomplish. And I don't know any other way to help you, so this seemed like a good thing.
Thank you.
Can you just
I will.
speak a little bit to, you get approval tonight, you're gonna start advertising.
Yes.
You and I had talked about whether or not you needed any help in terms of places to sell tickets.
Why don't you come up and talk about that, because this is really your area.
So, as far as ticket sales,
Your name?
Jess Potter, I'm sorry. So we want everyone who purchases a ticket to have a car pass. So each car pass is going to be labeled with a number, and I'm going to have a spreadsheet with each person that has it, so that when they come in, they actually don't have to exchange any information with us. We can actually get them in really quick, because the longer that takes, the longer it's going to be a backup on the road. And then, so I work at Center Woods. I don't mind doing like 3 days of ticket sales outside of my work hours, but be there. And then, so that they actually get the physical part of it, and then we can, I think the money is all going to get managed through the Lake Horse Corporation, though, right? It's going to go
Yeah,
into
it's
your
going to
account.
funnel to us, and then we're going to take our, do the math and figure out what that looks like, and then cut a check back to you all.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, I don't mind doing it there, but I also wouldn't, I would like it, if it's possible, if we could also maybe have a few of these at Chase Park, but I don't want that to become cumbersome for anyone to sell there. I think this is gonna go really fast. My guess is that we think about 68 car passes. We don't wanna overload, we don't wanna get to max, because we wanna have some room for people to be able to move around. So 68, my guess, based on events that I've run at school, is gonna really go. I think 3 days we probably sell out. But I've never done a summer event, so I don't really know. But I don't want to ask something that can't be managed at the park. I can do it all at Center Woods, but I know people might think that it would be logical to get something from there.
If we know what days we're selling at the park, I think, and I saw Kristen say that it's okay. If we can have maybe some say over those days, so that we have the staff that's there,
Oh,
Kristen would know,
good point.
right?
Because I could do sales this coming, next week, and then maybe we can piggyback and come up with times, and then we can advertise those times, so everyone knows where to get them. But I definitely want to make sure that we advertise it, once they're gone, so.
And
Yeah,
we
it's
did
first
that-
come, first served.
And we did that this year when we did the holiday.
Okay.
For the seniors, we had limited seating.
Mm-hmm.
We publicized it was first come, first served.
Mm-hmm.
And, we didn't really get any negative feedback. The
Good.
library was a great resource for us, and
Yeah, I mentioned that to
they
you.
run a children's program. So
Oh,
whether
good.
they sell it for you or promote it, you might want to talk with Clay.
Yeah.
He helped us with the ticket distribution for the seniors.
My one concern is that it's really clear that this is a Ware event, not an out-of-state Massachusetts event or any other. If they live on the lake, then they're invited to it because they're members of the Lake Association, and they have to pay as well. If they want to drop their kids off by boat, they can pay their $5 per kid and leave. That's up to them. They're going to be their babysitters. But I will say that I want this to be sold in Ware to Ware people. So I don't know how that works at the boat ramp, because I know you get day passes and people that come in to just boat. And I don't know how we're politely going to say no, but this is just an event for Ware residents, or if that's an issue. I'm just bringing it to light because it could come up.
When we, again, I'll just give you what we did for the holiday
Okay.
luncheon. We publicized it as for Ware residents.
Okay.
We didn't police it to the letter of the law, but we made it clear that we were doing this for the residents of Ware, and we really weren't looking for people from surrounding communities
Right.
to join in.
Right.
So maybe as part of your marketing, make it pretty clear for Ware
Okay.
residents.
This is for the town of Ware or
Yes.
whatever,
Yeah. we
Yeah,
can
that's
say
my
we're
only
not
concern, when you only have 68 car
Yeah.
passes, you know what I mean? You don't,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to be filled up with people that don't get to enjoy it. The whole purpose was
Right,
for
right.
families.
And then if you began to see that maybe you didn't sell out, then you could say, well, maybe we'll expand this a little bit, but you'll know in the first week or so
Yes.
whether you've sold out or not.
Would it be helpful if we provided you with our marketing material? I can email it to you in like a PDF form.
Yeah,
Because we can add it to the.
I mean, I think
You can
having
add to the Facebook
some,
page.
yeah, even having, Kristen, if we do a walkthrough, you and I can talk about what signage, if any, you'd like, that we could work on for you. We could do that also.
Are the sales of the car passes going to be varied hours so that both people in the family work have an equal opportunity as,
I can't speak to that because Jess is giving up her time
Yeah.
while she's at work.
I'm not sure. I could do it if they contact me and I try to make it work, but, I don't know if I can do like 3 evenings, but I could
Yeah.
maybe work with,
Yeah.
maybe
And
at the
see how
park
we
to
can-
make sure
yeah.
that there are
That might
also
be where the
evening
park
hours.
comes in, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure to serve.
Yeah.
Would it be helpful if we gave you, like, say, 10 tickets, and that would be for people, do you not want the tickets for the Parks and Recs group either, or
I would
just
ask
give
Kristen
them
that
to
question.
Kristen? Would it be helpful if we gave you, like, say, 10 tickets in case there's, like, that person who can't come during the day, but can make arrangements to meet up with you? I would meet up with someone at night if I had to. Okay, so I think
And,
that's
yeah, I
probably
think-
gonna
Yeah,
solve
that would
it.
work.
I do have a
And it's
question for you
cash
guys.
only, right? And,
It's gonna be cash or check,
Yeah.
yeah. It's not gonna be PayPal, because I can't break, we have
Yeah.
PayPal on our membership drive, and I checked. To separate the two is impossible. I'd have to
I
have
just
two
want to
buttons.
make sure that's advertised because especially this day and age, people aren't always prepared for that.
Yes, okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's on all our marketing
Check needs to
material.
know Who the check needs to be made to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Obviously not to the town of Ware.
No, it's gonna be to the Lake Horse, people, because we are the ones sort of managing it with your help.
So if you, the other area of advertising there is a Ware, I don't know when it comes out again, but there's a Ware newsletter
Yes,
that goes out, and you and I had talked about
yes,
having some exposure during the event, but if there's a edition coming out prior to the event, that would be another way to just let the community know what you're doing, why you're doing it, when
Yeah.
you're doing it.
yeah, happy to do
I
that.
could forward you, I think her name's Sharon, I could forward you her email address.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know when the next edition comes out, but,
We're filling information for it now. She just sent us the request to submit our articles, so I can give you
They just sent one out on the 10th of July, so the next one would be, I think, next Friday.
that. July 25th is the next edition.
So that's kind of right in line with when we're doing this.
yeah, so I could forward you her email
Okay.
address, and then you could contact her directly.
I actually do have a question for you, and this is something that we need to be prepared for. Let's just say that this is an amazing event and lots of people want to come, and they either like live in the area and they walk in and they pay their $5, or there's a bunch of people on the lake, right? There's 270 potential members for the Lake Association, right? So we know 270 people won't come, not everyone has little kids. But let's just say we have a bang out. Is there a number limit in the park of human beings that can be on it safely
Is there? yeah,
beyond the car
capacity?
parking for the walk-ins?
That's a good question for the fire department.
Yes, they should
Okay.
know.
But I would think that we would be able to accommodate walk-ins because during the day, if the parking lot fills up, we do allow walk-ins.
Walk-ins, okay, that's,
The only thing that you'd have to take note of is where are they going to walk from? Because we have folks who will walk from their home, which is fine, but we also have folks who will use and abuse reservoir parking in front of driveways.
Correct.
To say that they're there to walk in. So that's where we'd have to be careful because Reservoir is signed with no parking on either side.
Yeah.
Might
My-
not wanna advertise that there'd be walk-ins, but if we had a few.
Yeah, and my husband and I were gonna put up cones at that spot by the fence with that same tape I bought. I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I have like 2 giant rolls. But you know how people will still try to find a way to park somewhere and walk in. The truth is that we don't want that, and we're gonna discourage that. But I do think there will be walk-ins, and it wouldn't be necessarily people on the road, but people from the lake coming by boat. It's just easy for them.
So that was my one question, was is there a capacity max at the lake?
Yeah, that was my question, because I was worried about
And
it.
fire departments should have
I will
that
ask
info
them.
if there is one. The other
Yep.
question was, you said, fire was going to be there without EMS, but I assume most likely with a medical bag?
So all I know, I haven't been told that one way or the other, what I was told is there would be a tech. I was told that's $53 an hour, and I was told that the ambulance, because that's another charge, is unnecessary.
Okay, so yeah, they'll have somebody there with,
And I'm either gonna pay for it or they're gonna donate it because someone's gonna be willing to do it for free. But it's one or the other, and one way or the other, someone will have to be there.
yep, no, they'll have a bag with them then.
Right.
Okay.
Which I think is prudent, given that we're on the water. Anything could happen, you never know. So-
Kristen, how many staff members do you wanna have?
So it doesn't sound like I need very many at all, which I was thinking it was just gonna be me because they've got all of their volunteers and it's really just managing the restrooms, right?
The restrooms and trash.
We'll help with that
And
stuff, I can tell you that.
I told Joanne I would be there and help volunteer too, so I can be there to help you out.
Oh, we'll
You
be
can
happy
give
to
me
have you,
directions.
trust me.
You can
Yeah.
tell me where to empty the trash or whatever.
And there's literally lots of jobs. There's working the gate, there's working the dock. You don't want people working alone in the dark, right?
Yeah.
There's, managing trash, there's keeping people out of the water, there's managing the movie and the tech park, there's making sure people park, there's gonna be a food truck, well, there's gonna be an ice cream truck, let me say that for sure.
Speaking of that, will all of the volunteers have flashlights or maybe like
Yeah,
lights or something?
she's gonna have parking vests
Yeah.
from the school.
Yeah.
They all have Dayglow shirts, and they're going to have some kind of flashlight, yes. Because it will be dark and people will need to be directed. I had a question to ask you and then just slipped my mind, but,
The other thing you can do is you can check with, I think Naomi manages it, I'm not 100% sure, but the sign that's in front of the old Ware Town Hall, you may be able to put an advertisement out on it.
oh, wow, yeah, I hadn't even thought of that.
Because I know they did it for the patriotic celebration. What?
I have a feeling it's gonna fill up really fast.
Yeah, I was, maybe.
By the time
You don't take it back down.
the minute we put it up, it'll be gone, yeah. I hope that's true, I really do, and I hope that we can grow it next year.
I will follow up with Naomi because, prior to, I think that Pam and Dave and I know that, she had asked that an electrician go out to take care of that light pole, years ago, and we contacted him, it's somebody who works for the town, and I don't think it ever happened, so it was one
Okay.
of those chicks, so I will check with her, maybe we
So
can-
what happens if we do, that's a really good point. What happens if we do it on the beach? And what happens if we're doing the movie up there? It can't have the light shining down on the movie or you won't see the movie, because it's one of those massive 200,
So I think.
does the
I
light
think-
like not work?
I'll
think-
check with
I
her.
think that's why, I think, let's, through email, you, me, and.
Yeah, we'll have to figure this
A day
piece
when
out.
she's up there working, maybe you
Agreed.
and I could come up there and we'll take a look at stuff and make sure, Kristen, if you think of anything else, would be a time that you could go over it with us. And we'll work up
Do a
those.
test run on a different.
I can tell you that that light is not working. I mean, it was pitch
Oh.
black out there.
Okay.
There.
I mean, I'm sorry, but that's good.
Yeah.
So, for the sake of time,
Yeah.
anybody else have any other questions?
Nope.
Do we need a motion on this, or we just can sign off on the request?
I don't think we need a motion.
So, we'll sign off, we'll make this the approval that you need so you can start
Great.
advertising.
Yeah.
Thank
And we
you.
just, again, are very thankful to you and all your association for your desire to do something for the community, and that the proceeds are coming back to help
Yeah.
us in any way we can.
We're
So-
glad to do it. The only thing before I part would just be offline, if someone would talk with me about the food truck offline in an email, or maybe you guys can talk and then get back to me.
Which food truck are you?
You can do either, okay.
She's
If-
super busy.
So if worse comes to worse, I may just do like a hot dog stand with, you know, our concession and
So
food.
just so it gets in the minutes and anybody who might be watching this, you know, we could say, as of right now, you have not secured a
A food truck, you are correct.
If there's anybody in the community who knows of one or who has one, they could reach out to us through our email and we could forward it on.
That would be
to you.
great.
So at least we can let the community who might be listening know
Pam, where's,
you're in search of a food truck.
where's the whack? The whack one is still,
It's in the Prevention's driveway.
is it
I
up
don't
and
believe-
running?
I don't believe it is up and running and it
The
goes.
food truck or the hot dog?
The food, it's a food trailer.
I don't believe it's running.
Okay,
So at least we'll
appreciate
put it out
that.
there publicly that you're
Yes.
in search of somebody to do some
Yeah.
food for you. Okay, great.
That'd be great.
All right, thank you.
Mention sponsors before.
Oh, and before I go, just so you know, we are reaching out to some like business sponsors. So we may get some stuff like to cover so we can make
Yeah.
more proceeds, just so you know.
Great.
We haven't secured them yet.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Might
so
need us-
much.
yeah, Need anything, just email me.
And yeah, I'll keep
Okay.
in touch with you for sure.
Sounds good.
Great.
And I think, Kristen, did you have anything else? Appreciate you taking time out to come. We just wanted to make sure you.
I'll email you both. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Before we go into the minutes, I did want to just publicly acknowledge a couple of folks. I know we had John Mule here regarding the benches, but I know personally I had an opportunity to go up to the lake a couple of days, and I just think it's a wonderful addition. It's a great place to be able to put your stuff before you go down into the water, and so again, just acknowledging that, I think that's been a great addition to the lake. And also, we might talk about it later, but in case we don't, wanted to acknowledge Luke Booton and you, David, for the work that you guys did in this tremendous heat to rebuild one of the features in the skateboard park. I know you guys spent a lot of time on it, and we appreciate both what you did and the fact that Luke, as a community member, would come out and help. So thank you.
Thank you. In addition to that, I did take pictures, and Kristen got pictures of the benches. I haven't posted them yet on the Facebook page, but I wanted to make a post for the benches and also for Sophia Lundine's
Oh, yes.
project, her senior project.
that up?
which
Is
it's-
that in-
it's- Yeah, it's
okay.
up, so I need to do that too, so I apologize. I know that they both need to be
Okay.
acknowledged.
Yeah.
I just haven't gotten to it.
Great, all right, thank you. So the next agenda item is, we have May and June minutes. Did everybody have a chance to take a look at them? And I had changes on the June ones, but not the May ones. Anybody have any changes
I didn't
on
catch
the
anything.
May?
I didn't have any changes.
No,
So we would entertain a motion to have those approved.
Okay. I mean, if you have changes, then we can.
I don't have I don't have changes for May, so May
Okay.
minutes.
So I make a motion to approve May minutes as they are, as they stand.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Matt and a second by Shelby to approve the May minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? Okay, those are approved. Great. The June minutes, I think the only thing I saw on the June minutes that I think might have been a mistake is it looked like under attendance, the attendance, Shelby, it looked like you and I were absent. It almost looks like she carried over the May attendance.
Oh.
So I think we had full membership. Everybody was here at the June meeting. There was no one absent, so those changes would have to get made.
This is my attendance sheet from
Was that the June 11th
June
meeting?
6/11, unless people didn't sign in. You weren't here for the 11th.
Yeah, because we voted on, that was the meeting we had, if you read the minutes, we voted on officers. I think we just didn't sign in.
So I had myself, Dave, Denise, Shelby, James, and Lisa was late on that day. And then Luke was a guest, Joanne was a guest, John Mole was a guest.
Heather. And Mike and Charlene, yeah.
Yes,
Yes, okay, so everybody was there,
yeah.
okay.
So, let me just see if I can look at one more thing here.
Is there a sign-in tonight? Because I thought there was only sign-in for guests.
There
I
is.
didn't realize we
No, we do have, it's in the
So,
back.
I think that's a clarification that we need to have. Everybody has to sign in.
Okay, I don't
Because
think
I know I
realized
didn't
that.
for tonight either.
I'll, when I collect that, I will
Okay.
correct that everybody is in attendance tonight, so that will be corrected.
And, let me just pull up and then I did have, apologize, line 81, let's see if this shows up right. I think we were talking about, the budget review on the repair of the irrigation system, and I think I was just wondering if we had received the bill for that. I think it was-
Irrigation?
Yeah, so,
I signed off on something last month.
you know what, never mind, the line numbers aren't lining up that I thought.
Okay.
I think it mostly was making sure that we changed on those minutes who was in attendance,
Okay.
and make sure that's
No, I
corrected.
know.
That's all you need?
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will make a motion to amend the June minutes to correct the attendance, to show that all the committee members were in attendance.
I will second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table by Matt and a second by Shelby to accept the June 11th minutes with the amendments as stated. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? One last question. There was a working session, I believe, June 18th, where you folks got together to work on the bylaws. It was not recorded. I don't know if you did it in this room. I wasn't here.
We did.
It wasn't
It was
here.
not recorded, and if it was, it didn't go through because Kristen could not take any, there was nothing for her to take minutes on. So I don't know if you can put together just a quick summary of what was discussed at that meeting, because there are no minutes for that work session.
Did we turn that on?
We did not.
We thought that, we weren't sure, I think is what happened. We weren't sure if it needed to be recorded because it was a working session and not.
Well, and we weren't voting on anything.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's what it was. We weren't voting on anything, so that's why there's no minutes. So,
I don't think I was here for that one.
no, you weren't here for
So
that.
I'm
So,
looking,
what
James,
is
do you
the-
know, when the Board of Selectmen has a work session, are minutes taken?
That's a great question. We haven't had that very many of them the last couple of months. Other than a secretary, if they're not being recorded, then the secretary would be, taking those minutes.
So what I can do, I have my original copy of the revision. I have the copy where I made the notes for corrections.
Okay.
So I will come up with
I
a
think
rough
that-
notes.
yes.
I think that should cover.
I got the sense from Naomi that if we just had a summary like that we'd be fine.
Okay,
All
so
right,
I
so we
will-
could do that.
yeah, I will do
I'll
that.
put it on the next agenda that we would approve those minutes along with tonight's minutes.
Well, I think they be considered approved because we approved the revision.
But, so I just lost my, let me just go back here. It also, I wanted to bring up the changing of the minute, this meeting. So we normally meet on the second Tuesday of the month. There are several times a year where we cannot have this room because of zoning board. Naomi mentioned that if we were to go to the third Tuesday of the month, it's free all year long, and we wouldn't have to get bounced. So I mentioned that I would bring it to this group to see if folks would be willing to change our standing meeting to the third Tuesday of the month. And then we wouldn't have to be bouncing back and forth between the upstairs or finding another night.
I like that idea. My only concern is that we'd be 3 weeks into the month, or at least 2 weeks into the month. And I think we would have to try and focus on being a little bit ahead of things than we are currently, just to offset that, so that we're not reacting halfway through the month to any potential issues. But I think that's a good idea to not get.
So one of the things she and I also talked about was when we look at what the RSAs say and our ability to communicate via email, things like maybe sending out a budget document first of the month, mid-month, for everybody to look at it, that's okay. Where we would get into trouble is as a group, if we start responding, then it's considered a meeting. If we were to send out, say, a budget document, to your point, so that we could see it, and you had one specific question, and you said, emailed me and said, Denise, I have this question, can you check with Beth? I can go do that, but we can't as a group have discussion over things. So say the budget's we're finding an issue with the budget. So we can, I think that's where the biggest area would be, is that we don't lose sight of the budget by meeting in the third week. Is that what you're kind of?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
reacting to things, we're gonna
Yeah.
be behind the ball a little bit. So if we're planning to be ahead of some things, I think that's perfectly reasonable.
What if we considered the moving to the third Tuesday of the month after Chase Park closes?
That's fine, because our next conflict is in September. So we would have a conflict, I believe she told me September would be our next conflict.
So third Tuesday for off seasons?
The third Tuesday in September?
That would just be the time when you move it and leave it on the third Tuesday.
Starting in September, so we
Starting in
would keep
September.
it on the second Tuesday in August, but then move to the third Tuesday of the month, beginning in September, for the remainder,
For,
Going forward?
forever, going
Okay.
forward.
Right, and in that September meeting, we need to make sure that we have it, that we're gonna cover all of the pumpkin stuff.
Okay,
Because obviously we need to have that locked down and done.
okay.
So that because obviously.
Yeah, that's
all
the other
budget's
thing, yeah.
We have
approved.
to start talking
we have
about
to,
that.
yeah, like,
And
we
then
have to
like
be ahead.
and then
Yeah.
the Christmas, and then we kinda get into the
Right.
November where we have, October, we need to be talking about the Christmas tree and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and I'm, again, and I welcome feedback, but I'm trying to throw out agendas 2 weeks in advance now and just saying, hey, if you have anything or you want to know what, let me know so that we can get those done. And I think I agree that if we're talking about things 2 months in advance, then we're not reacting. So again, even just a thumbs up email, yep, everything looks good. I'm never quite sure if everybody's got a chance to look at it. I know everybody's busy. When I don't hear anything, I'm just gonna assume everything's okay. But I'm also trying to get the agendas to Beth and Naomi more like a week in advance, so we make sure it gets published and we don't have any issues there. So,
Okay.
I'm committed to throwing out the sample agenda at the beginning of the month and then making sure we're focused on the things, thinking about, okay, what's gonna be coming up 6 to 8 weeks out.
I think that's a good way too for us to address things that might pop up in the first week or two, is we can shoot that into the agenda. So,
So I
are we all done with discussion?
don't know, do we need a motion to move the meeting, or can we just all agree? No.
No,
Okay.
I think it really just depends on when it's
Okay.
posted.
So just to then confirm, we will meet the second Tuesday in August as scheduled, and we will go, I'll let Naomi know that we will move to the third Tuesday of the month, beginning in September. From that point forward, we will meet on the third Tuesdays, allowing us to have this room.
Who makes changes to the website?
I have that as the next communication. under
Which
the-
website, Shelby? The town
The
website?
town website.
That's Beth or Naomi.
Okay, just to make sure that they put it out, that it's moving to the third
Yeah, and
Tuesday.
we also need to have, I noticed today, the members in the office, none of that's been changed on the town website, so I will let Naomi know that.
Okay.
It still reflects the old chairs and all of that, so we'll make sure. But the next agenda, sorry, good for the Tuesday meeting. The next agenda item, real quick, communicating with Parks and Recreation. So one of the questions I did have related to the website, the Parks Facebook page, is there, like, I know we can post something on it, but is there something you should be showing me or others of us? Like, if we wanted to post the movie night, do we just go in and write that, or are there other ways that we should be posting?
You should be able to post on the Facebook page, like you would on your normal
Yeah.
personal page. I'm working on getting everyone set up as an admin so that
Okay.
you can go in and make those changes so
Okay.
that everyone has access to it. But they have
Great.
changed the way that they run their group pages.
Okay.
It's not intuitive on how to change it.
Okay, yeah, because it would be nice, like, I'm not sure I know how
What you
to,
posted was
Yeah.
what worked, it went through, it was fine.
right, but if we say we wanted to post a copy of their poster, I'm
Yeah.
not sure I know how to do that.
Okay.
So those are the kinds of things I'm thinking we could use our website for. And what I also wanted to bring up is that we could, as a group, officially say that our means of communication with the community is through our email. I know that we have a lot of questions and comments that come out on Facebook, but I think that we should be encouraging. I think one of the things that I posted related to the walkthrough at Bolton tonight was, if you have any questions, email us. So we're not getting those questions on Facebook, because I don't think we should be commenting, and we might not all be seeing them. So what I'd like to do is maybe even have something on our Facebook page that officially says all communication should come through Parks and Rec email, and we will not be responding to questions on the Facebook page. Is everybody
Yeah.
comfortable with that?
Just make sure you put, and the email address
Right.
is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We can turn off the messaging feature on the Facebook page.
You mean
Yeah.
messaging or commenting? 'Cause I think,
Messaging.
I think
Okay.
that, because I know we're getting messages.
yeah, I think that
Yeah.
it's a good idea.
I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but between the emails right now, we have our hands full. If we have to, on top of that, when we get messages, it's like you lose track, and you don't have the trail, and not everybody sees the message on Messenger, so.
Sometimes we don't want to respond to those.
Yeah.
Well-
And so that makes it just uncomfortable, so it'll be a lot easier just say that
Yeah.
that's our policy.
Yeah, I think
And that-
everything should go through the emails.
Yes,
Very-
and that's really what I was kind of looking at, was that way it gives us a mechanism by saying, look, we don't want to get into the, we welcome the public to come here and talk to us, to email us, but.
This is the forum.
Yeah, that's the forum for
Facebook is not the
communication.
forum,
Yeah, all right, if everybody's good with that, then that will kind of be our official. Would you be able to turn that off, then messaging, and then maybe put some little statement there that says,
Do we want to turn off the feature for other people to be able to share things to our Facebook page?
like,
If someone if Lake Horace Landowners Company wants to share their post to our page.
With
I'll share
admin
them.
approval,
No.
it'll be fine.
We can share the post, right?
Right, we can go in and do it, but if when we do a post.
What Matt just said though, is there a way to do approval? Sorry.
Yes,
That was-
I think there is.
But I don't think we want to necessarily turn that on until we all have admin access first,
Yes.
right?
But yeah, I think everything should
But
go
once
through
we,
admin access.
once we have admin access, then, and then we have to determine who amongst us is the person who's dedicated to making sure they're on
Yes.
that, approving it.
Yes,
So
that
that,
is-
like,
yeah,
just
that's an
like
assignment we will have
just
to-
like we have an assignment for responding to the emails.
Probably fall on secretary.
And I think that we have good exposure on our Facebook page, and I think it's a great way to get things like movie night, walkthrough at Bolton Field, out to the community, working on the skateboard park. So I want to continue to use it, but I don't want it to be a place of back and forth communication.
Yep, agreed.
Okay, great. Anything else on that before
On
we move on?
communication, I do have something I wanted to,
Just a quick question, does everybody have access to their town email address?
yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I need to sit down with tech. If there's a way to screw up technology, I really do.
So I think, Pam, are you, because I know I keep CCing you on everything, because I'm not sure.
I haven't had a chance to.
Okay, so I think it's you and Lisa still. I know it would, right now, I think we're all trying to CC the two of you.
Yes.
But
Yeah, definitely.
if we could sort of set a goal for maybe by the next meeting, that you come back and confirm.
Yeah,
that-
I just need to,
The gentleman who's in technology is very helpful. If you can give him 20 minutes on the phone,
20 minutes.
maybe not even 20.
Yeah, probably not
I,
even, yeah.
it did not,
Took me
because
five- took
I
me 5
called
minutes.
him,
Yeah,
like, when we first got that pushed out, and he was very helpful.
yeah, it's probably not even 20 minutes, but
Yeah.
say 20 minutes. and-
Okay.
Did you
So,
have another?
on communication, our text chats. I am unsure, and I could not find anything that says whether or not these need to be noted as the same as our meetings, our working sessions, etc. Because we are having questions going back and forth with answers coming. I'm not sure how to handle them. It's been brought up as a concern as to just, what are you guys doing with that stuff? Not like, what are you guys doing, like, what are you doing, you know,
It
but
was
are you
very
guys
important.
tracking or are you not?
We're not supposed to do any voting over
Yeah.
text, but
Yes.
sometimes there's the, like, letting each other know.
Yes. And
things.
so that's, part of me says, I feel like it should be noted and filed. Part of me says no, and I felt that that was something that should be brought up to the committee and say,
So I think it's a great question. I know that we have situations where we have to quickly let everybody know we've had an incident at the lake, or we have a broken sprinkler system, or something like that. Or, you know, Dave, a good example the other day, hey, I'm gonna be down at the skateboard park. If anybody wants to come down and meet me there. I don't
don't-
know if those need to be, but.
So, what I can tell you is that texts are subject to right-to-know requests. So just bear that in mind whenever when you're having a conversation. Treat it basically like the email, that it's okay to have conversations as long as you're not, like you say, coming to decisions. It's for dissemination. Texting is generally, you know, on a quicker basis, but it is technically subject to right to know. And that means that so that if somebody asks you, make sure that you take, screenshots of your communication when it comes to that sort of, and submit it. Just like, it's not something that Naomi can do through the back end, but just like personal emails. If a FOIA comes in and says, hey, send me all your emails, they're gonna want you to go to your personal ones and check to see, have you had any communications regarding such and such topics? So that's where we come up with the general principle of use email, use texting for disseminating information, but not necessarily for back and forth. Now, if there is something going on and saying, you know, hey, I'm at Bolton and I see something, you know, terrible happening, can somebody come and do something, or whatever. Not a big deal, but if you're like, you know, again, if there's a question about making a decision,
Okay.
it's not the venue for that. So I don't want you to be afraid of it, but definitely be aware that it is subject to those kind of requests.
I think we have a lot more of it in the summertime because of things like irrigation systems broken.
Incident response.
There's something going on at Chase Park versus in the wintertime, not as much.
And it's typically probably going to be between you
Yeah.
and our director,
Right,
or,
Yeah.
right,
you know, it's
right.
not going to be the group chat
Right,
going out.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of goes along with what I was just saying with the email. I think we all have to make a conscious decision to make sure we're using email and text messaging just as an informational, I've posted the agenda, or we've got a irrigation issue at Inison Field, and be very careful not to get into a solution, let's do this or that, back and forth. That would require, if it's that urgent, then we'd have to post an emergency meeting and get together to address what was ever going on.
Okay.
So,
All right, I just wanted to make sure.
but
that
I'm
we
glad
were-
you brought that up, because I think just talking about it is a good idea,
Okay.
to make sure we're all
One
on the
thing
same
I want to
page.
mention, I take the minutes for the Bishops Committee at Holy Cross, and we put a summary of any of the email communications that take place between meetings. A lot of times, because they don't meet on a regular basis, they are talking with the diocese to take money out of their trust to pay their bills, or all the other stuff that's going on, so they ask for a summary of like the issue, what the emails were, who voted for, or like not voting, but what's happening, so that they can keep track of that. So if it's something where it's more than just
Info
an
and,
info or a summary of there was an incident at Chase Park, it was discussed,
okay.
and this was, you know, the steps, we could always do that as well.
Well, I'll put it like this, if there's something like an incident
Yeah.
response, I'll just make a note of it.
Okay.
And I'll screenshot the conversation, or at least annotate the conversation.
Well, I think we do already do that, because we address those things in meetings, either in public or non-public, depending on the situation. The text messages, from my end, are really just to make sure everybody knows
Yes.
what's going on.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Before we have bylaws, before we jump, was there anything,
She has a question.
yeah, because I don't want to make you wait till the end of the meeting. I'm sorry, I should have asked you before we, do you mind coming up to just,
I would love to.
yeah.
Nothing more I love than being
Closing date. So in the past, we have struggled with having staff, because if you're a formerly employed 8th grader and now you're going to be a freshman, you go to school the day before everyone else. If you're me, you also go to school the day before everyone else. You in fact go 2 days before. This year we start school on Tuesday, August 27th, and I know it's the Tuesday that we start, I just might have the date off by 1. So what I need is some clarification on our last day open for the full 7 days a week, as well as I would like permission to open up on Friday, August 30th, which is a no-school day because of Labor Day. And so we've got those 4 days where we could be open, and as somebody who loves the lake and also knows that we have had the highest attendance numbers that we have consistently this year compared to years past, I would love to be able to be open so that we're keeping everyone safe by not having cars parked out on the road, and people can enjoy it. It's kind of like our last hurrah of summer that weekend. So I guess what I'm asking for is a date that will close and permission to be open on the 30th, in addition to the Saturday, Sunday, Monday that we would typically be open.
So I pulled up a calendar, so August 27th is a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So would you be looking to be opened on the 26th, Monday the 26th, or would you want to make Sunday the 25th the last
if we're going to do it, I would just need to know far enough in advance to see that I have staff. I wouldn't be able to be a daytime staff. The soonest I could get there is probably like 3 in the afternoon.
On the,
So she's also losing, all of her college students will be gone.
Yes.
All of her
Athletes.
athletes are gone. She has no staff.
So why
So-
don't we make the 25th the last day of the season, and then add a 4-day, basically, for Labor Day?
Yeah.
But if I were to be able to staff it, it would be preferred to have it staffed like from 10 to 4 on that Monday, and here's the why.
The 26th?
Yes, what we don't want is people coming in and falling under that trespassing situation, because I'm trying to be very cognizant of not having police called needlessly or have neighbors upset with us. So if we could staff it, I would just ask that we could close by 4, which for most families is a reasonable time to get your kids home so that you can get them showered and ready for the big day that follows.
So you think the 26th you could do 10 to 4?
I would like to try to, if possible.
so when do you think you will know whether you could staff the 26th?
Hopefully by Friday.
Okay. So we would be meeting again before the 26th. If you just, I'll make sure that gets on the agenda.
Okay.
What we'd be looking for is either you're going to tell us you can staff Monday the 26th from 10 to 4, and that will be the closing date for the full-time week.
Yes.
Or we'll make it Sunday the 25th.
Okay.
And then you're looking for Friday, August 30th to be opened,
Yes.
31st and the 1st. Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
And Monday.
And Monday.
We would
okay.
typically be open Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Labor Day is sort of our last big block of days. And then it'll just be Saturday and Sunday, hopefully through September and those first weeks in October until we get to Columbus Day, where we end with the 3-day.
Okay.
And what time would you want to be open on Labor Day? What time do you want to close? 5 or 6? Because we don't want to be having, obviously, we have staff,
Oh, you're
teenage staff.
Monday?
On the Monday of Labor Day, do you want to close at 5?
I would
or
love
6?
to be able to close at 6 on the Monday of Labor Day, just because, back to Dave's point, it's students.
So I think if we could just get if you could, once you find out about the 26th, and just confirm hours for those 4 days, we could get things posted on the town website.
Okay.
So it was posted out there. Yeah, and then to remind the community that we go back to a weekend only until Columbus Day, which I think the weather is okay, would be a 3-day,
Yes.
and then we're done at that point.
Yep.
Okay.
Do we need a motion for that?
No.
No, I think that's just business.
Okay.
And just while things going okay so far?
So far,
Yeah.
really good,
Okay.
yeah.
The
So,
kids seem great. I've been up there a couple times this week, and the kids seem like they're very pleasant. They speak to you, and,
it's been really hot.
yeah, it has been.
It's just been a lot of very hot days all in a row, and so I've been spacing them out, so if you work Monday, you'll typically be off Tuesday. It's really good for them. It's a little bit harder on me, who doesn't have that same flexibility of days off.
Could,
But,
would the committee
like,
members mind if
94.
we just ask a budget question, even though we're going to skip ahead for real quick? Well, Kristen's here. We did have the volumes, and you just mentioned that you feel, it's hard for us to compare because until the year's over, we don't really see the full picture.
Yep.
But are you sensing volumes are high compared to prior years?
So in 7 years, this was the busiest 4th of July that we've had. It didn't help that the last 2 rained, but we tracked 132 resident cars for that 4th of July day and 79 non-resident individuals. That is by far the busiest 4th of July in the 7 that I've been part of.
Great.
it was a beautiful day. We've gone from years in the past where we needed to have an officer present, but this was just a beautiful experience of people enjoying the lake and really being good citizens, and it was really cool.
Have you had any feedback, good or bad, regarding there not being a lifeguard this year?
No, we have no feedback about it, yes. The school groups, like we've previously had Boys and Girls Club, they knew in advance that we weren't going to have a lifeguard, so they didn't even ask us this year about it, because it's part of their charter or whatever, their rules to have someone staffing it. So that was unfortunate that our own town kids miss out on that day for that. But I'm sure that they found other places where they could go. And then the child cares, we have a couple of child cares that come from around over to us. They've still shown up.
Great, great. Well, that's good to know. We see the volumes, but it's just really hard for us to know until the end of the year, so it's good to have that feedback.
Yes.
Great.
And we're doing awesome on hours. We're down, looks like almost 300 hours.
Just don't jinx it.
Yeah.
We want no rain.
We want to say thank you for
About
keeping.
500 next month.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Trying to
keeping hours.
keep it under.
We're just saying, hey.
I know you've been working hard at balancing that, and we
Yes.
do appreciate that.
And then I worked with Beth to look at the cost of the supplies that we're buying. And so she went through WB Mason and 2 other places to compare to what I purchased at Sam's. And she said that I am getting the best prices. So I know that because of the increase in traffic that we're experiencing, I will probably need to get toilet paper 2 more times this year. And I'm still the best value, so
Yeah.
we're doing fine there.
Are you putting in mileage for that?
No.
You should.
Oh, well,
We go up to Sam's, we go up to Sam's enough, we throw it in and up with the rest of the Sam's orders.
We appreciate all you do.
Thank
We
you.
really do. Thank you, and for your leadership up there.
yeah, you got it.
Yeah. And I just talked to Kristen about, because it reminded me
Oh.
that we had the issue with the neighbor was questioning about rats.
Yep.
The rat trap has remained empty,
Okay.
Yes.
so there's
Alright.
been a couple mice.
We had 2 mice that had nested behind our refrigerator, but they are no longer there. They've moved on.
They're no longer with us.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kristen.
Sorry to make you sit and wait.
No, no problem.
All right, next agenda item, Matt. If you want to kick us off on the bylaws.
Sure. So as, I hope everybody got a copy through the park email. I did not bring copies on paper, assuming everybody would have.
I just can't access my email
One
right
thing on
now,
the
so.
bylaws, did you
I don't have a
update
printer.
the skate park name?
Yes.
And
Yes, I
it's
did.
and also looking at the lawn contract,
Thanks.
the gazebo field has Center Park next to it. So it has
So it
gazebo
is-
slash Center Park. If you
Really?
read, if on the first page of this, it says Center Park.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's how we wanna label it, as based off of how the lawn contract is.
I don't know if that's official or not.
I don't know if it's official, but that's what it says on.
Is that official?
What?
Is it gazebo in Center Park?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Is there an official name for the gazebo and
There
park?
is, but I don't know what it is.
Okay.
You could check with Naomi.
So as it stands, I put gazebo and gazebo field. I
Yeah.
named them separately. They are in alphabetical order. The skateboard park is named, the tennis court is now named. We found out that it was the Woods Tennis Court. I did make a couple of modifications, a little bit off of A that we had already approved, and I just kind of re-modified and kind of moved things around a little bit. It just seemed to make more
Are you
sense.
talking about 1A?
Yeah, 1A, moving the name, purpose, and authorization, and then role and responsibilities into 2 separate things, so that we could specifically point out the roles and responsibilities before we got into the membership and all that. I included the sentence about 5 and 10 year plan.
Can I should we go through each line? Can we give you
So,
feedback?
yeah, just give me feedback,
Yeah.
'cause whatever,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because then we can maybe
Yeah.
get this. So my only question on 1, C, is how do we state that sentence so we address in including any future, like,
I put current and future recreational and park facilities.
okay, all right, then I missed that
That was
one.
the
All right,
best way I
okay.
found to get that in there, 'cause I
Okay.
remember that was
All right,
brought up,
that'll-
yeah.
Yeah, all righty.
And just RSA 35B is called out right there in 1B, and we will be attaching it to the document as well for reference, and I called out the reference points for particular items. Anything else on 1?
That's all I had.
Okay, what about section 2, role and responsibilities?
So, and some of my questions maybe because I wasn't at that meeting.
Sure.
When we look at 5-year plans, 10-year plans can be kind of overwhelming, hard to manage. Were you guys thinking we'd do both a 5 and 10-year plan, or 5-year plan that we would update every year?
I put 5 and 10 based off of a couple other committees' bylaws. To me, a 10-year plan is a broad, statement. We'd like to look at this, this, and this over the next 10 years, make sure we're maintaining X, Y, Z. The 5-year plan, to me, is the detailed one. So I just put 5 and 10-year plan. We don't have to include a 10-year plan. I can just make it 5-year.
I think with just so much changing as far as cost of things and whatever, I think a 5-year plan that is visited every year
Yeah, that was,
would be a way to keep it manageable, but not have to go to a 10-year plan.
so how about if I get rid of tenure, but then put review annually
Yeah.
a 5-year plan?
I would say review and update, make
So-
updates or changes.
I'm just wondering for the roles and responsibilities, and I don't necessarily have an answer, but I don't think the order is necessarily correct. Like, I mean, don't we want, in terms of the A, B, C, D, for like the most important responsibility to be A, and then the second most important to be B? I mean, I know these are all our roles and responsibilities, but I guess, I mean, it's almost like a grammatical thing, but in terms of the structure.
Which, were there ones that you felt were,
More important than...
should be moved up and be first, second, third?
I feel like, to maintain awareness of recreation programs and facilities in town should be A.
I'm sorry, 1 second.
F seems like it should be A, like it's the most,
To maintain a, so, okay, so you
because
can...
that's like our, if, I mean, I don't know that we have
Yeah, I understand.
a mission statement, but if we had a mission statement, that's like the closest to the mission statement of our organization. So I think that should be A.
I think I understand where you're
Do you
going with that.
understand?
I would say probably hold off on assigning values to the individual ones, just make sure we cover everything, and then you can decide whether, because the order
Yeah,
that
this is
you're in
more of a
not-
list of items.
Okay, I just, like,
I hear what
if
you're
we're-
saying,
I wanna
yeah.
make sure that the final document, that list of items is in an order.
So I'm
that
gonna note
is-
to address order of items
Okay,
at a later date before we finalize. Is that
that's
acceptable?
very acceptable to me, yeah.
So, on,
I'm sorry, back to item A.
Yes.
Do you want to just call it, do you want to call it a 5-year plan, or do you want to call it a strategic plan?
We can do that too, and not
that is then described as whether that's either in here or something else. But the
I
strategic
actually like
plan
strategic plan.
I do like that better.
And,
Might have 5, might have 10, might have
Yeah.
annual
Right.
goals that need to be
but
accomplished.
still keep the review it every year, review and update every year.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
There has been a strategic plan for
Right.
Bolton, you know,
Yes.
Right.
that's
Yes.
20-plus years
Right.
old,
Right,
but nobody likes it, so it might be time to come up with a new
Right.
one for that.
right.
so I'll change that to create, recommend, review, and modify annually a strategic plan for town recreational facility maintenance and development.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else with section 2, roles and responsibilities?
So on B,
Yes.
question I had is when we establish or modify any rules, policies, do they need to go before the Board of Selectmen for approval? Should that be stated that
I think that's internal.
we establish, review, modify, and seek approval?
Do the
When
fees
you
have to
did-
go to the selectmen? So,
In the schedule, actually, well, the overlying schedule.
And the
So-
hiring of people do, and,
So I have a further section where I have the workings, the workings of the business. I wouldn't want to put it here because I don't want that section to get too mired down, I guess.
okay.
If we put that in the orders of business and the workings of the commission, and if that's a thing, 1, and 2, if we want to specifically state that, I'd rather have it in the workings of the commission where after we've gotten past, this is our basics and this is how we do business.
I just want to
What
make,
if it's, oh,
I just want to make sure that if, much of what we do have to seek approval
Yeah.
from the board.
so maybe instead of to establish, comma, review, maybe if it said to review, recommend, to review and recommend modifications to rules, use policies, and fee structures.
not everything has to go to the selectmen, so so I think it would fall better putting in the specifics under operations, procedure, like if this is our bylaws, okay, now you can have a procedures.
Right.
This procedure must go to BOS.
I-
This we can handle
I think
ourselves.
somewhere along the line when we're done, whether it's in the bylaws or in a procedure, what has to go before the board and what does not, because I think as we have turnover, it can
Correct.
get lost in the shuffle, so knowing that all new hires for the lake have to go before the board, the fees have to go before the board,
Yes,
and what
yes.
policies would have to go before the board.
Yeah, but all we're establishing
Okay.
here is that we're giving ourselves, our role is to establish rules and policies and fee structures, review those things, and make modifications to those things as
Yeah.
needed.
Okay,
And I will make a note, bylaws, commission operations, to include BOS approval items when needed. Or as needed, and I'll reword it better.
right, but I'd say that would also help the selectmen, so the next time somebody says, oh, I think we need to do this, you say, well,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have this.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
And
All
the,
right.
the only other one on D, so 2 things on D. It doesn't read well, to encourage individuals
Yeah.
and citizen group to give funds,
Should have put
property.
donate.
And is it that we want to encourage them to give funds or do we want to work in partnership to raise funds to, somehow that just doesn't sound well. And I don't think, to Shelby's point, it should be higher than maintain awareness of the recreation facilities. I mean, that's almost like one of the lower.
Maybe to work with citizen groups
I like
to
the,
benefit park.
I like the idea of encouraging individuals and citizen groups to participate in
Yeah.
the development and operation of recreational programs and facilities.
All right, so to individuals and citizen groups to,
Just to participate, instead of to give funds, property, and manpower, participate in the development. And then everything else is the same after that.
okay. All right, so I am scratching out give funds, property, and manpower for, it'll now read to encourage individuals and citizen groups to participate in the development and operation of rec programs and facilities.
And then maybe as you go back and make these changes, then you could think about, to Shelby's point, reordering them. That when we do kind of that final review,
Sure.
you could comment on that.
Because that's gonna be a matter of
Yeah.
each individual's, what do we choose to be priority over others, or what order?
Well, and like, what do we see as our, because like, our directive and purpose and like, our mission statement?
The other, and I don't know, I wrote a note here, and I don't know if it falls here, or falls somewhere else, so Matt, you can, whatever you think. When I think of roles and responsibility, there's a part of our role and responsibility in terms of attendance and participation,
As far as,
like attending meetings.
that's
how
under
many-
membership.
How many can, what is considered missing too many, at which point?
So I covered that under members and their duties, section 5A, regular members, and B, alternate members. It does not specifically point out how many, but, and regular members are expected to attend all regular and special meetings, working sessions, public hearings, and joint meetings conducted by park. If a member cannot be present, so that specifies.
So when we get to that section, then because I have another note there, but I do think, so we'll talk about it more when we
Okay.
get there. So
Again,
just so
that was
you-
more of a,
Yep,
this is,
yeah,
this,
yeah.
we get to that later.
Right, okay.
Under order of business. So are we good with section 2? Yes? Okay, section 3?
So could you, again, because I wasn't at the working session, could those who were talk about the full commission consisting of 7 regular members? And the reason I asked that is, I know we've had discussions here before and with select board members about having not having even numbers when it comes to, so I'm going to use this as an example, 6 members in the officio makes it 7 when we're voting. If you have 7 members in the officio, now you're at 8, and you have more risk for a tie.
So with rewriting the bylaws, we chose to, in the working session, to not have a voting ex officio. It was figured we would welcome the Board of Selectmen to have a member of the Board of Selectmen here, but that they would be in an ex officio status, meaning that they are a member of the commission but not a voting member. Same with park director, coordinator, being ex officio as a member of the commission. We need their input and, back and forth, but they're not a voting member. So that removes those 2, so you'd have 7, up to 7 full-time members who are voting. If we only have 6, then it's up to us to work it out. If we split on a line, we only have 6 people and we ended up 3 and 3, then that's up to us to work it out.
Right, right. So, all right, that makes it clearer for me. So then I would throw out to James, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you see there being issues, concerns, or pushback from the Board of Selectmen with us saying there'll be an ex officio on this group, but not a voting member? Do you have any sense?
Actually, it's not an ex officio, if I remember correctly. Then if the ex officio is not a voting member, then he's not an ex officio. So just like with conservation, they welcome a Board of Selectmen member to come and sit, but they don't have room on their board for ex officio.
They never created a voting ex officio.
Yeah,
Because by their, as they quoted, and that's where we got this from,
yeah,
they quoted, according to RSA, we don't have to, so we won't.
yeah.
And that's where I got that off of, was,
So I will, right, so that's up to you. You can, how you read that statute, whether you think it is required not to have one, or if it's optional to have an ex officio or not.
it does not read specific very clearly.
It does, I don't think it's very clear,
No.
and I think you can make an argument one way or the other
Yes, I agree.
for that. So, given that, I think you would find a little bit of pushback from the selectmen. I think it would be in your, I think it's in your best interest to have an ex officio, but that is ultimately the decision of this group here.
So, if I may, I'm sorry.
No, so if you think it is more beneficial not to have one, then you can go ahead that way. But my personal opinion is that there's more benefit to having an ex officio.
So I will read the RSA 35D Section 4, where it specifically calls out, speaking about an ex officio member of commission. Any city or town may, by ordinance or resolution, provide that the mayor or a selectman or councilman shall be an ex officio member of the commission. The town, nor the Board of Selectmen, to my knowledge, has not said commissions, committees, boards must have an ex officio. I've not found any documents that say that.
Okay. Grab the remote.
We have evidence of it going both ways in town.
Right, if you look at the selectmen, recently went over that, and I don't have it in front of me to tell you that, but I was pretty sure that it does say that there's certainly a preference. It's not a statement to say that all commissions would have an ex officio or a town. So, and yes, that leaves a glaring, contradiction for a different board, but, that.
Can
Not
I-
our job.
Could you just clarify what you just said? So did you say that the Board of Selectmen recently had a discussion on the role of ex officios on all boards and commissions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
And their
if I-
sense was,
And I don't have it in
Yeah,
front of me.
that's okay.
I'd have to go
Yeah.
back to what the policies are for the board. I seem to recall that it was basically, at least a preference, if not a statement to say that certainly all the boards that can would have an ex officio.
As a voting member?
So we
or
can
just
find
as a
that,
member?
well, that's what the ex officio would be a voting
Should
member.
be, yes, okay.
So the ex officio just means by office, right?
Yeah, by office, they have the right to be a member of.
Exactly, and
Yes.
this would be a full member, not just a
Yes,
participation.
okay.
Now, so I'd have to go back, again, I'd have to go back and look at that document that we came up with. But it's the same document where we had some other
The fee,
questions.
yeah. So I would propose, at this time, we had agreed we wanted a max of 7 members, because that allowed much more participation. I can specifically ask Board of Selectmen at the next meeting, or the following meeting, I need an answer on this.
Yep.
Do you want us to have a full ex officio seat on this commission or not? If they say yes, then,
They need to require it on all commissions.
huh?
Then they need to require it on all commissions.
Yes, but I'll say that's not
Yeah.
our job at the
No,
moment.
Sorry, the other part of this is, does it benefit, clearly, when we have people who come here and do the work, help out, that benefits us, right? So like coming to Bolton Park and having an understanding that benefits us. Is it the ex officio's job, which is this is what I thought it was, to take the wishes of the board of Parks and Rec back to the select board, whether or not they agree?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's where we've had issues in the past. So
That's a conversation for us to have.
But I would
I'm
say
sorry.
that would need to happen, that should be, if we're going to have an ex officio, I would personally like to see that is part of our bylaws.
Then I would rewrite the job description or the under the officers' duties and membership, I had a description, I believe, for the ex officio, I may not have.
I don't think you.
But I would put that in as, under officers and duties, basically, you know.
I wanna be clear that has nothing to do with you.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
And
no,
I'm
this
not
is
even
a, this is a
talking about- I'm talking
position,
about years ago.
this is a position based.
No, I know exactly you're talking
Well,
about.
no, I'm talking about things for years, this is
Yep.
for years.
So I would make that a specific line item under the officers and their duties, because I have specific job
Yeah,
notes for everybody else, so yes, if they say they want one, then I will respond. We expect that if we're going to have one, that it be
Yeah.
a conduit.
So I think that, I want to back up a little bit. So first of all, whether we need to go to the board and ask the question, or James, that's part of your role right now.
It
is
is.
To go back to the board or to get clarification.
Yes.
But one step before that, again, because I wasn't at the meeting, and I just want to make sure, I'm just going to speak my thoughts. I like having the ex officio role. I think that the benefit of the communication, the fact that you're asked to give an update, I believe at most meetings after this meeting, you have an opportunity to,
Correct. That's what all the selectmen who are on the different committees
Correct.
are supposed to
And-
come back and say something.
and I think, unless I see something wrong, there's a great value to having an ex officio from the board on this committee, and I see no reason for them not to be a voting member unless I'm missing something. And therefore, I know we had discussions, even when Salem was here, that maybe we look at a 6-member board with the 7th member being the ex officio, so that there's 7 members and then the alternates.
Correct.
Again, that we have to go with the RSA, the alternating terms,
Yes.
which we could set up.
Yeah.
So even before we ask James to go back and ask the question, I just want to ask the group, am I the only one wanting an ex officio as one of the members voting?
Well,
Did you all agree that you?
if it were to be an ex officio, they would have to be a voting.
they have to
Right,
be.
so,
So it would be 6 volunteers
yeah,
plus an ex officio.
right, so was that something you voted against at the working session?
We didn't vote, we were kind
Well,
of just.
We were
We were
discussing,
discussing.
the discussing basically went in the direction of a committee in town specifically calls out that they are not going to have one. It's kind of a spit in people's eyes, but that's where the discussion went, was, well, if they don't have to do it, then we don't have to do it, and then we'll move on, so.
And I go back to the, like
There's
tonight,
benefit,
Yeah.
I
tonight
want
at
it.
Bolton Field was a great benefit, in my
Yeah.
opinion,
Yep.
of having somebody there.
Yep.
If nothing else, to be able to communicate back, there are challenges here, those kinds of things. And I understand where you guys are coming from, and believe me, it
Yeah.
kind of bothers,
just went
but,
with the-
Well,
yeah.
I
The
think
temperature
that,
of the room.
I think that in calling out the duties of everybody and the,
Thank you for coming.
And
Thanks,
Thanks,
Kyle.
man.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
For anything citizen engagement wise, let me know.
Okay.
It seems like 6 and 7 is a pretty full board here. I'm more than
Well,
happy to
I'm
be
not, but
on deck.
we actually are short one.
We're actually-
Even
Yeah,
with
yeah.
At least one. we got
Lisa,
to switch.
technically,
Yeah.
she's,
I will not be,
Yeah.
I'm pretty good with stairs now, thank you.
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, we'll call August a better run, we don't need to ice elevate.
yeah.
Yeah, please.
Lisa will not be a voting member.
Okay,
Be-
Her
yeah,
position will
Her
not be.
position will
Yeah.
not be.
but my apologies for cutting out early.
Yeah.
No, not at all,
Right.
not at all.
Yeah, that needs
I'll
to
let
be
you all
on.
hash out
Okay.
the,
All right,
Thank you.
thank you all for your time.
Thanks,
Thanks,
man.
Kyle.
The reservations that I had just from watching many ex officios was that we had, we have ex officios who were, if they voted, that then swung the commission, the rest of what, they might be the swing vote for what nobody else really wanted. We've had ex officios go back to select board and say things that were not what the rest of the commission wanted. We've also had and I can only think of one time this happened, had an ex officio who did a lot of really great things for us, but when the town was able to receive this grant money, never shared that with us. And as a member of this commission, I feel that that would have been their responsibility to say, hey, there's this grant money, we could
Absolutely, yeah.
apply for it.
But I see, and I think Matt just spoke to it, if we included the roles and responsibility,
Yeah.
I think we would be creating, I personally feel we'd be creating some animosity, maybe animosity is not the right word, but some tension between us and the Board of Selectmen, if all of a sudden we said, goodbye, you're welcome to
Agreed.
come, but.
Agreed.
And I, as the chair, like having the role here. I like being able to bounce things off that person and whoever that might be. And I would,
I wish you had one that knew a little bit more about the selectman position.
me too, no.
Thank you
So-
for being, yeah, but you let us know and then you go back and
So
ask. It's
I
okay.
I don't want us to,
I would like to make a recommendation that we reconsider that it would be 6 regular members
6 volunteer members, I should put,
Yes.
6
and 1
volunteer
ex
regulars.
officio, therefore making the voting membership 7,
Yes,
which I think is what the Board of Selectmen and the conversations we've had, even that when Dave and I were going for our renomination, they kind of made it clear that they were looking for us going in that direction. That's
And
why
so
I think if we went
I
different.
think I was a
We
proponent
have
of
like
this.
2 more minutes on this, and then we need to move on to the rest of the agenda. It's already it's coming up on
Yeah,
8:45. We
yeah.
need to
All right.
I just
finish
want-
this up and move on to the
Yeah,
next
I know,
part of the agenda.
and I just wanna
I
say
just
that.
don't want to go back in history. I think we
No,
have
I
to move
agree.
forward.
I
Sure.
agree. And if we can just have that job description
Yes, I
out.
will, yes,
Because it's not about an individual, just like mine isn't about an
yes,
individual.
it's about the
It's
position.
about the position.
Yep,
All right, so are we in agreement that it will be 6 with 1 ex officio making a total of 7? And then we'll, in a minute, talk about the alternates.
And I would just say, if you are gonna write anything about what the ex officio does, let's reference the selectments to make sure that the verbiage is the same,
Yes.
similar.
Yes.
So you're not adding anything
yeah.
to,
I'll get with Board of Selectmen to make sure that we're,
So,
because I know it's available on the website.
Okay.
It's just, I don't have
so
that.
for the sake of time, I would like to put on the agenda for the next meeting, and if we, hopefully we'll finalize all of this, but I would like to talk about the terms, because we have to clarify the 2 of you.
that's a separate, yeah.
I don't want to lose a community member who wants to join. So for the sake of time tonight, we won't talk about that, but how do we then create the staggering terms? Because the selectmen are looking for us as part of the bylaws.
Yes.
When I bring those back to them to.
Yes, I
do
had
that.
planned for
Yep,
that later
okay.
in the, yes.
All right.
Okay, so are we good on section 3A that we've modified? Or we go with section 3B with the alternates, which pretty much says the same thing as the regulars. They have the same things. Section 4, officers and duties. Is everything else correct to everybody? This was pretty much copied right out of everybody else's stuff. Are we good on that?
Yeah, and I think you addressed it tonight. You meant
Yeah.
recording, and you were talking about text messages,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Okay, so section C, I have
Have
to.
we decided
We
it's
need-
coordinator versus director?
It's listed in two different ways. I think that that's a question for Naomi.
Okay.
So I think.
Can you just leave a
We should check
placeholder?
that.
Yeah.
We'll confirm that.
And then, but I would like to say that I have not had time to work on, the job description is different for this, so we're okay. Right.
Yes.
Because I need to update.
Job description is labeled as per job description, not this is the job
Yes.
description.
And the
so-
only, if you're going to under C, if the red wording is something you're gonna be adding, in addition to participate, so whether it's the director or coordinator, with the responsibility to, I look for them to more than participate, but to make recommendations. Because I see that as part of the director's role. We have these options to fix irrigation system, and I make a recommendation. So I see the director role as more than just participate, but they will make recommendations. They will not vote, but they will prevent recommendations, solutions, or whatever.
Okay, that was in the job descriptions, and that's why I didn't.
Well, I would like to see it clarified a little more than participate here. I think it's a little greater than participate. And then we'll just figure out, so you could say responsible to participate and make recommendations,
Okay,
but without the right to vote.
participate in discussions
Yeah.
and make recommendations, okay. All right, while I'm writing that down, do we have any objections anywhere else, I guess I should say, or any comments about anywhere else?
Was that under C?
That was 4C. I'm adding and make recommendations in discussions, but without the right to vote. Are we good with 4?
Other than that terminology of the coordinator is an ex officio
Yeah.
member.
We're not, because you're not really.
I keep finding multiple different definitions of ex officio and how they apply to commissions, boards, and committees, so.
I think it should just say it's a non-voting member.
Okay.
Because it's not, the ex officio is different.
Yeah, I would agree.
Or is a member, and then
So
you
it-
could do in
so there's
parentheses
no
non-voting.
confusion.
Yes, okay, yep, got it. So I'll scratch ex officio is a member of park. With the responsibility
Is a
participate.
member
Member.
friends non-voting of park,
Well, you can,
or,
sorry, are you talking about the coordinator?
The coordinator is a member of park, but with the The coordinator is a member of park with the responsibility to participate in discussions and make recommendations, but without the right to vote.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
okay.
thank you. Okay, anything else in section 4C? And I will be attaching the finalized job description for reference to the end of this, when that's finalized as well. Are we good on 4C? Section 5, members
No,
of their
we
duties.
gotta stop, we gotta go on, we gotta table this for tonight, and we gotta get through the rest of the agenda. It's 8:48 at night, and we still got probably 35 minutes worth of other stuff
Some
to
of the
do.
agenda items, we can defer if we have to, or try to get through these really quick. We have until 10, right? I think
the
we
idea
may,
is that-
I think,
know if anybody wants
yeah,
to stay
I think
till
that
everybody wants to go by 9?
All right, so we'll stop here.
Okay.
If you guys just want to review the other stuff and make notes for the next one, then we'll just
Do
go.
you
from there.
want, I have made notes, do you want me to send them?
Please do.
Okay.
I'm just gonna include them as
And I will
notes,
just,
not
we
as-
won't talk about it now, but I'll just tell you that there were confusions for me as a chair when you start talking about, Shelby's not here tonight, I pull a alternate out of the audience to participate and vote, or somebody steps aside for the vote, so I pull an alternate out. It was just very
yeah,
confusing. I think we need to really
We
look
need to
at
sit and
that.
talk
Yeah.
about it, sure.
I think there's already some pre-existing verbiage for how that is. Basically, the chair has the authority to assign an alternate as
needed,
a
yeah.
full member for the meeting.
Yeah, which I don't have a problem with, but when you start talking about on an individual vote, then I get into that, well, she recused herself, and I pull somebody.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think there was just too much in there. I can see where.
Most of that was pulled out of another
Okay,
commission, so
yeah.
we can talk
Because
about
then
it.
you can start
Yep.
mucking with how the vote
That's
goes.
not okay.
Yeah, that's not okay. All right. So we will get your comments to Matt if you can ahead of time. And again, comments can be
Doesn't matter.
shared with the whole group in email, as long as we're not debating back and forth, so that we all
Yeah,
kind of see where
shoot
we're
me
at.
notes and I
Okay.
can make modifications and we can go from there.
Who is, in the minutes, I got the sense that, are you working on the job description for the director coordinator?
That
or-
was me.
That's you, Lisa.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I haven't started, but I haven't.
Okay, so we need to get that a priority.
Yep.
So we get this done. And I would like to just throw out there for the next meeting, if we think we're gonna go beyond another month, for the bylaws, can we make, some kind of vote or motion on membership? So we don't lose Kyle? And we could go to the Board of Selectmen with that. I don't think we have to have the entire bylaws done.
I think
to
at the
be-
next meeting, if we can open with that as the first business, is to establish our membership numbers and alternate numbers.
Yeah.
And just make that
And
at
then we
least
can-
voted
yeah.
on in the records.
Because I'd like
Can we
to,
vote on it tonight?
no, because we have to move on to other things.
Okay.
All right, budget review, I had given you in your packets, and I think we can make this fairly quick. I gave you the budget worksheet for the month of July. I apologize on some of these sheets, my handwriting are on them because there weren't clean packets in the mailbox, so I had to make packets of my notes. I tried to meet with Beth today, but she was out, so I'm gonna try to get to her Friday. While overall, we're doing okay in the budget, some line items were over. And one of the concerns I had when I went back and looked at the approved budget, the default budget, some of the numbers had shifted, particularly if you look at Parks and Recreation activity, line item 631. We have $5,000 in there, and that's not what we budgeted, and that, so I need to get with Beth. You know, we don't spend $5,000 on activities, yet we had the line item for supplies and repairs, for repairs reduced, and yet that's where we're spending money. So if everybody's okay with it, I'm gonna talk to Beth maybe about reducing line item 631, Park and Rec activities, to say at least $3,000 and move 2,000 of it up under repairs, because we're close to being done in that line item, and we've still got half a year to go.
So just give you real quick, right, we are in a default budget.
Right.
So anything that you asked for didn't happen, so this is.
But even when you look
but
at the
this-
default, it didn't make sense.
So we also have call it a luxury of being a bottom line budget, so even though you're overspending
Yep.
in one line item, if you have the money in a different
Yep.
one, it's okay to,
Yeah.
you know,
So I think that, my point to point out is that we have a lot more money in activities than we're gonna spend, but we don't have enough money in repairs. So we may have to either rob from Peter to pay Paul, or move some money around just to
I think what he's saying
make
is
it clean.
we can do that
Yeah.
as
Which
needed.
we've
Let's
done.
not try and ask about moving money
We've
around,
done
let's
all
just
the
do
time.
what we need to do as needed.
Couple,
Just pull it from another account.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
So one of the things when we start approving expenditures in our budget review, we just want to pay attention to what line item we let Beth know it's coming out of. Beth did let me know, I don't know if you saw it in an email, but as of end of last week, our revolving account was at $26,630. And that will grow this year because all the revenue from Chase Park goes into that. So I think as we go forward and we're looking at approval of things like potential, I'm just using these as example, but repair of the skate park, repair of the irrigation system, if we think we're gonna max out on things, we can use the revolving account, we just have to get approval from the board of selectmen, and that would be something that, we could ask James to, either I could go to a Monday night meeting, or we could ask James to take. But we spent very little out of the revolving fund last year. I think we only spent the repair of the gates. So it's there for the purposes of needing to, those unexpected repairs or being able to replace things that are broken. So I just want everybody to be aware that's how much we have, and we do need to be thinking about how and when we would use it. It's particularly as we try to manage through the budget. Any questions on the year-to-date budget?
No.
And I tried to include in the packet for you, Beth had given us the June 1st to July 31st details. I also gave you a copy of the details January through June, because it was, for me, it was easier to say, well, how come telephone's way up, but I only see one charge? So that's just there, kind of as an FYI, so that you can see throughout the year. And again, we've, this past month, paid $988 for the repair of the irrigation system. Under Parks and Rec repair, we spent $2,441 in total because we had repairs earlier in the season. So I think reflecting back on both, or maybe keeping all those copies in your packets month to month, because Beth gives us just the latest month, we would have those to go back and look at. So any questions?
And we, on the skate park, we're under budget right now, we're about 300 and, just shy of 350 for all of, we were able to reuse a lot of the wood.
Nice.
The color is brown, but it was a $10 can of oops paint that it actually worked well because it actually was able to cover over the red timbers that we had, the red paint we had there, so it actually looks kind of nice.
Nice.
Looks consistent.
Yeah, it
What?
looks
It looks consistent, you can't really
Yeah.
tell, I mean, the inside boards, most of them were good, and we were able to trim the edges off and reuse a lot of the existing 2x6s that were already there.
There is a little bit of brown paint too left over, I think, from the graffiti that I covered up at Chase
Yeah.
Park, so.
But I did give if you wanna add that into the file, just what the paint color was.
Okay,
So when you put it in and say, hey, here's the inventory for the park, here's what the paint was, so that we can then
and
just,
where is it?
I said it in that picture.
No, where's the rest of the paint?
Oh,
Did you
we
use
have
it all?
like just,
Oh, okay.
we have a
Okay.
smidge
The
left.
whole can.
We have like, just like basically enough that I can go touch up. He has one more piece of metal to put on, and he's gonna need a few more screws for, but other than that, he'll be back probably maybe this weekend. Just if, we had to put some,
Do we have a document anywhere? Does anybody know of our paint inventory, or do I need to start one? Of
I
what-
just,
what
I
color?
need to
It
have
should
a
be-
document of all the.
Honestly, it should be saved at Country 3. I think they can keep
Yeah,
track.
that's true, yeah, they might
The
have.
country three.
But we have
different.
different, all
I
sorts
can
of
try
different
to start a
colors.
spreadsheet maybe to add it to with all the numbers and gate codes and everything. All right, sounds good. Thanks, Dave, for doing all that.
Yeah, thank you. That's all.
And a couple of just last things on the budget. I had included parks. We already did talk about it real quickly. It was good to hear from Kristen that our volume appears to be up as compared to last year, because it's hard to figure that out. But we are, as you can see, we are trending under budget this year so far, which is good, because last year we got way over at this point. So I think she's been doing a great job, and we really haven't seen any overtime. So I think that also is good. I'm gonna kind of look to you guys. One of the things that we haven't been doing, that some of the other boards and commissions do, and that is review of the bills that we get in every month. For example, the telephone bill that just came in, we had been running a very low telephone bill, and now all of a sudden it's jumped up. We think that's because of the internet maybe being turned on. I need to clarify with Beth if we had that set up seasonal, so it went off for the winter and then came back on.
You were saying that to have telephone out there, Granite State's telling us we have to have internet.
Yeah, they did this whole thing last year when they ripped out the old system because it wasn't working.
Ripped out the
The
copper
copper
line.
one, yeah.
So is there no phone service at Chase Park over the winter?
Nope.
So what were we paying $17 a month for?
It's different for the, you'd have to ask Beth for that,
Okay.
because
So-
I tried to deal with it and they
Okay, so
wouldn't
either
go
way,
to me.
this is,
So,
we have to pay
Right.
this,
Yeah.
they're charging us correctly.
but I'm going to get Beth is back in the office on Friday.
Okay.
I'm gonna get clarification on what's going on with phone services at Chase Park. And are we gonna see a trend of it going up in the summer and then being able to come back down? Because again, that's gonna be important to know for budgeting.
Yep, absolutely.
But I will
And
find
I,
out.
and I don't know if that also, because they have the radio antenna is hooked in there, that they have to have some type of service there.
That was separate. Well, it was
It's
shut off for
separate,
the
but I don't
winter.
know how it all rolls
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
together, because I know that there's a plug that's plugged into the wall, that basically there's a big note on it that says, do not touch,
Yeah,
do
that's
not unplug, do not pass
Yeah,
go.
out there. Could
So I will,
potentially looking at,
So for the winter, I think that $17 would include the keeping of the number, the voicemail.
Oh,
that-
yeah.
That keeps it active rather than
So
going
if-
back into the general.
if
pool.
it turns out that we do need it for the months when we're open and then we can turn it off, at least we know what we need for budgeting.
Yeah.
So we'll get that
Absolutely.
clarified.
Yep.
Again, just for informational only, we have the bill for the fixing of the control box that was damaged by lightning, $988. Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, was this going to be an insurance claim?
Yeah, so Beth wanted to send it to insurance, but we have a deductible, so she's dealing with it.
yeah.
Okay,
But the deductible's like $1,000.
Yeah, so better off
Okay,
just paying.
all right. Then, so in the mailbox, there was also, we did get the porta potty rental bills. I think right now the outstanding bill is $916 for the month of May.
Yeah.
Just-
That should have been paid actually, because I would have okayed that to pay the bill, so I'm not sure why that would be extra.
Well-
What's the date on the?
Oh, because it's,
I haven't,
I would have okayed it in June.
well, this was just, it was a statement that was May 31st. It was in the box,
Okay.
in the
I'll
envelope.
check with her.
Okay.
I will check with her.
Um,
She's usually on top of
I just wanted everybody to know that a 1-month bill was $916.
it. That's why we are so finicky about not starting till
Right.
mid-April and closing it as soon as we're able to shut it down.
And same thing with trash removal. We had, based on different locations, one was $165 and one was $120.
It was
think we have-
180 they charged
That
on
was,
6/12.
that was a prior, so if you look, so I was just doing the current.
Yeah.
So prior was 180,
Okay.
And I
Um,
can,
Curious as why
but this is a new, yeah.
I can probably cancel. The issue is that they don't pick up the dumpster at Purington Field. The neighbors just don't use it, so then they just leave stuff there. So, it's I know they're not supposed to, it's theft of
I mean-
services.
I didn't know that.
That's why we have locks on them. But they still it's a pain. So I'll talk with,
And if we take it away, then it's,
Then it's a complaint, yeah.
This
Well,
one
it's
says,
not a
this one here says it's 640 South Stark Highway. What is that one?
that's Bolton.
that's both
Bolton,
Oh,
640.
okay,
Yeah, South Stark would be
That's both.
all
both.
right, and then this is Purington, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. All
But
right,
I may be able to cancel that for August.
all right, so I just wanted, again, for public knowledge and for commission, what we're paying right now for trash removal. As you heard Kristen say, we have, one of the things that I think we're still a bit challenged on is, there's quite a few Country 3 invoices. I think one is yours, Dave, was 300 and,
Yeah, no, there's 3 invoices from Country 3.
that were yours?
They're all the skate park.
Okay,
The total is $348. There was one for $333. There was one for 65 cents for,
yep.
he said $6.49 on the cable buyer. I just charged him, then he goes, oh, 65 cents. I'm like, seriously, dude? I I've done in my car, God,
So these-
Corey's done in my car for
So
65 cents.
these three are Dave's.
And then
Okay.
the notch wheels are mine, those are the metal wheels to cut the metal.
Okay.
He was using his own and we needed to replace it.
Okay.
We needed to get three more to
So
finish the
can we
job.
make sure, Lisa, written on these 3 invoices, in addition to okay to pay, the line item that we approved by vote?
Oh, yes, yeah.
That it's
That was-
important that
No, you're right.
Beth has the line item.
Which one was it?
If
was
it's
it?
not clear, like trash removal is clear. So
So do we
those
wanna
3,
take these out of 631?
well, we
Well, we can't, we
made a
approved
motion
it.
to take up to $500 out of, unless we change, make a new motion. I think we
No,
leave
we
it the way it
did.
is now.
Where did we take it out of?
Park repairs, I thought.
Was it park repairs? I don't know if I have them.
It's in the minutes.
When did we vote on it?
I think it was voted on, not,
In May.
it was voted on in May, it was in the May minutes.
$596.
Repairs, 596.
Yeah.
So if we could just make sure that that's written on there,
Yes.
Beth would be appreciative.
All right, then there's the one for 5807. That is because of the rat issue. And then also we needed, it was a ridiculously hot day.
So that was Lake,
Yeah,
Chase
so
Park.
I needed to get a fan over there. We were not, it was necessary. So that was Chase Park.
So so that's the $58 included, stuff for the rodents and a fan?
Yep,
And then there's another one,
yep.
122.92, it looks like you bought,
That's maintenance for the
Spreader.
grass we
Okay.
planted at Chase Park.
okay. So I will be talking a little bit later about when we look at the lawn maintenance contract, whether or not we could maybe get spreading of fertilizer and lime and stuff in our other contracts, so we're not having to do that.
We can, it will, and maybe that would be, maybe, I don't know if the town would cover that separate. It's not in there, and we have the park staff do it.
Well-
During their shift.
Okay. So for the stuff for Chase Park, we have a 122.92 and a 5807. Where are we gonna authorize, which one do we wanna authorize that to come out of?
I would have, Parks and Rec maintenance, wouldn't it come out of 682? For the fertilizer and the,
Yep.
Yeah,
that should come
all
out
right,
of that.
so we'll authorize that to come out of 682?
yep, and then
Okay.
the other one is supplies, I think, for Chase Park, so that would be,
611?
So
yeah, 611.
we are already over budget on that one, just so everybody knows. I mean, it's a line item budget, but just so we know,
Yeah.
we're already,
And then, so, the other thing is we're low on, like, I'm gonna end up having to buy more, like, I used my own Hornet spray.
it's fine.
So I'm gonna like,
Okay.
probably, you know.
And then we have we have a couple of the Sam's Club. Did you see those in there? I don't know, she might have,
I don't have
this might be a copy. Again, these are Chase Park supplies that,
Yeah,
again, we're gonna continue to run over that line item. We'll really wanna look at that next year.
I mean,
Budget.
I don't know if you guys have seen this that went viral and has been on radio and everything. With, like someone, having a, grocery bill from Walmart from 22 and then reordering the exact same one. And it more than tripled. And, you know, I think we're dealing with the fact that it's not like we're necessarily getting more things, it's just prices on those items have gone up so much.
yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same thing with trash and.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
well,
Porta
I,
potties.
I mean,
We, like you said, we put there's a lot of money in rec activities
Right.
that could have and should have been put into Chase Park Supply budget line item.
Right.
We still have the money there. Yes, we're spending a lot more
Right.
money.
I think
Yeah.
we just have to, as we get into the budget cycle.
Yeah, we do.
Understand what we're spending in supplies, what we're
Yeah.
spending on stickers, and really adjust some of these line items. But I do think at each meeting, I'd like to quickly go through what were the bills for the month, so we're publicly stating we know what we have and what we're gonna pay.
Yeah.
And where it's coming out of, for the sake of,
That's great.
so, all right.
Absolutely.
They do have some more Oops paint. It's actually, some of it's $20 a gallon, but it's paint that we can customize to whatever color we want. Because it's basically discontinued paint. Normally it's like $30, $40 a gallon, he's like, because it's for the park or whatever, they'll give it to us for 20, so do we, because Kristen usually paints some of the benches and some of the picnic tables just to make them look nice. Do we wanna authorize some money so that Kristen can get the paint benches and things like that? She has the kids do it during shift and things like that, so.
I have no problem buying a couple gallons and some brushes.
Yeah.
It's not a question of we don't have the money, it's just moving the money around to the right item.
Yes.
So I think that's a good
Okay.
idea.
All right,
So how much? Cap it
shall
at?
somebody make a motion to,
Say
I think-
100,
not to exceed?
not to exceed. So I will make a motion to allow Kristen to spend no more than $100 on paint and supplies for painting structures at Chase Park.
We have to make an adjustment to that, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It can't be Kristen, it has to be one of us to pick it up.
No, but we can just say,
But,
Buy
yeah,
paint-
but for Chase, we can.
Buy
we can-
paint
buy
for
paint
Chase
for
Park.
Chase
Yeah,
Park, or-
okay.
you don't have to
Yeah.
specify
Okay.
who's gonna get it, we just have to say, we're gonna spend $100 on paint for Chase Park.
So correction, I will make a motion to spend no more than $100 on paint and supplies for Chase Park.
Okay.
I will second that.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table by Matt and with a second from Shelby. Purchase paint, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone
What do we wanna
opposed?
take it out of?
Anyone opposed?
You wanna take it out of the rec account, because that's kind of recreational
Yeah.
activities for our kids to.
No,
for
What about
employees.
water
it's
safety?
not.
Or what, yeah, you do it.
Because we're not buying anything for water safety this year, we've got the buoys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay, so that would be line number 680.
Yeah.
That will be authorized. So if those are purchased, we need to make sure those receipts reflect 680 as the
Okay.
account number for it to come out of, please.
While we're
I've got
doing
that
accounting,
annotated.
Denise, can we also just mention that some of the, like, in-kind things we've had, or donations we've had, like the things Boy Scouts have done, I think we need to keep track of, but also, you know, Kristen got somebody to volunteer to go out, you know, take a couple of the kids out to move the buoys again the other day because they had come in. So we've gotten, you know, some people that have been friendly and have donated that, so otherwise we would have to pay for that.
Okay, yep,
Just
Great.
mentioning.
thank you.
And the labor that, you know, like Luke
Goes
did
in.
and things.
Yeah, absolutely, which
We
is,
actually had a couple of friends show up
Yeah.
and things like that. so
Yeah.
we're working with Luke.
and that's why at the beginning of the meeting, wanting to publicly recognize.
Yeah.
And I think if you guys would, you know, bring that to my attention, because I think the more we publicly recognize people for doing that, you know, hopefully we'll get more people who will come out and help us with that. All right, anything else? I'm going to, I think we've talked enough about Chase Park, unless anybody has anything else.
No?
Bolton Playground, just some real quick things. So we did do the walkthrough today, so we could take a look at the slide damage and next steps, sandbox damage, next steps, the need for wood chip replacement, next steps, and how do we begin to address the weed overgrowth issues on the playground in the next steps. I think all of you had in front of you, just to throw stuff out for conversation, I had reached out to two organizations, Burke, who is the original manufacturer that we purchased everything from, to replace that slide at the same height that it currently is at. We got a list price of $8,418. He did not quote me shipping and installation, so we could probably assume that's a couple more thousand. And utility play, I can never say that right. I reached out to them as a new company that's more local, because Burke is out of Wisconsin, I believe. I was able to get our Burke rep, who is in Massachusetts, to respond to me, but to get a second quote, they also, they quoted $8,500 for a slide of that size, so it's pretty close, the two companies, $1,500 shipping and $3,300 installation.
Yeah, but why are we getting charged another shipping of $450?
Because they're
Okay.
they're gonna have it shipped to them, and then they're gonna charge us for them to bring it
So
here.
neither one of these was really to spend any time scrutinizing. It was more to begin to educate ourselves and the public about what we are looking at in repairs. The other quote that you had in front of you, I also had obtained last year. Again, not that we're going to do this, but if we went through a professional company to repair the sandbox, the rubber timbers like we have currently would be $2,400, $1,800 for them to install, and $1,600 for the sand, which he told me right off the bat we'd be crazy to go with them, because we could get somebody
Get 'em up,
locally.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
again,
$450 to deliver,
Yeah,
if
but-
those are 50-pound bags, that's 10,000 pounds.
You're right, I'm getting it from Brownies.
but again, it was just a way to
Yep.
say,
This is how much.
and then the last document you have, we saw today that we have a broken window. The last window that hasn't been replaced is broken, it is dangerous, it needs to be replaced. I reached out to the company Piedmont Plastics, who customized the windows for us last time, which, as we saw tonight, other than being scratched, have held up well. She was kind enough to send me a document. They have a leftover piece, I don't want to call it scrap, but they have a leftover, so instead of having to buy an entire sheet and have to have 4 windows made out of it, she has a sheet where they could make 2 windows, and they would honor the price that we got 2 years ago, which was $115 each. That would give us one to replace and one to have as a spare. So before the meeting's over tonight, I would like to address maybe moving forward with that, because we've got to get that window out of there, it's dangerous.
I'll just go ahead and make a motion right
Yeah,
now.
if somebody would mind doing that, that would be great.
So I would assume that we would move this out of 596 park repairs?
Yep.
Okay. So I will make a motion for us to purchase the 2 windows, roughly $115 apiece, spend no more than $250,
I would do it more than that.
no more than $300.
I'd do 300, because you figure it's 100 and 230, you're probably figuring $70 to ship it to us.
No, I'll go get it. I went and got them the last time.
Okay.
So I know where they are. I'll drive down and pick them up.
No more than $250? Okay, so I will make a motion for us to purchase the 2 replacement windows, spending no more than $250, coming out of budget line item 596, park repairs.
Get a second on that?
I will second that.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor from Matt with a second from Shelby to purchase 2 windows. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or abstain? Okay, the motion passed, thank you. So I will call her tomorrow and get those ordered and go pick them up when they are ready to be picked up. And it will be good to have one. And then Matt, you were gonna, you had gotten some information on both wood chips and maybe other alternatives for the slide?
Other alternatives for the slide, it's basically been a lot of, sure, I can build that. We need to talk to the insurance company. What are
Okay.
they going to allow us to do?
All right, so I will, all right.
feel like we can just do what they did with the skate park, right? They looked at it, we did it, the insurance company went out and said you need to make these 2 changes. It kinda feels
Before we
like,
spend any big money.
yeah, it kinda feels like we could do that, I mean.
So I did ask the reps that gave me these quotes, if there are any New Hampshire-based or federal-based standards when it comes to playground equipment that we must adhere to. And they said, right now, not specific, that says you must have a certain quality or grade of whatever. I do think, while I know that this is a lot of money, it is what it is. And I worry sometimes, in what you just said, there are many people who have offered to, I could do this myself, I could build it, but nobody stepped up to the meeting and with a plan to do that. So whether we address it tonight or we think about it tonight and bring it back, we have to make a decision, I think, at the end of the summer. That slide is probably gonna have to come down. And do we just say there's 3 more slides, 4 more slides there, and I'm sorry, they're not high, but it is what it is? Or do we take money out of the revolving account, which would deplete us quite a bit? Or do we ask the public, if they have a passion to have it replaced, to look at some fundraising to help raise funds?
Just one quick question, and then we'll move on. Was that for the entire thing, including steps, or is that just the
So,
slide?
both companies highly discouraged us from trying to rebuild
Of course they
on the, well, but there again, I understand where they're coming from, and I tried to go and move away some of the bark mulch, look at how much rust was on the pieces that were in the cement, and while they're not close to being rusted off, if you build a replacement that you say is good for 10 years, but your structure underneath it isn't.
Sure.
I'm not an expert, but I think we have to give, it's great to say, let's preserve the steps and all of those things, but we're talking about 15, 20-year-old pieces of equipment that may not last another 10 to 15 years.
And for them, it's a liability.
And so we have a fiduciary responsibility to the community to make sure whatever we do will remain safe. I do worry sometimes when we talk about handmade things, that if they're not up to standards and somebody gets hurt, what happens? So I'm not looking for a decision on the slide tonight. I think I wanted to just have us be able to make the public aware that we're talking probably $13,000 to $14,000
To replace
just
the
to
whole
replace
assembly.
a slide. We still, at that point, haven't addressed the sandbox and the bark mulch.
Yep.
And so we're probably, you can fill us in on the bark mulch.
Has anyone done any research on, like, whether other communities have done handmade, homemade, structures, and like whether there's a precedent for that?
Well, we would need somebody to, well, we've
saw
got
that.
it, right? We've got the Boy Scouts that have done things, the Scouts have done things, but we really.
Here's, I mean, I guess it is, whether we put it on our Facebook page or we've stated it here tonight, if our budget is not going to allow us, and we don't have community members who would come forward to this meeting, express an interest in spearheading this, by fall, we are gonna need to make a decision
Yes.
about that slide.
I would like it to be, we have at least some resolution
Yeah.
with what we're doing.
So I
by
think
the fall.
tonight is to publicly state, and to, maybe we can put it on our Facebook page, I'm happy to put a post out, that we're looking for community support in this. It's a significant amount of money. I know the playground is used, but it is, to what degree is it used for, and there are numerous other slides there, they're just not big, tall ones. So it's not like we're taking the last slide available.
Right.
I mean, basically, to me, if we can't get a replacement resolved by the fall, we need to have it done we need to have it down before winter.
Right.
That would be my goal.
Right.
If-
Right. So,
Okay.
to move on, if you
Sure.
could just give us where you're at with the bark
All right,
mulch.
so bark mulch, we're looking at an area, if you cover the entire playground, of just shy of 11,000 square feet. That's at a, depth of 12 inches, and I can send an email with all this out. This was just, I was getting last minute calls back in. At a depth of 12 inches, at the lowest bid, $10,800. Figure another $500 for delivery, because they weren't sure if they were gonna bring one trailer truck or multiple triaxle
And
dumps.
that's without it being spread out.
That's without it, that's just delivery.
Yeah.
On the high end, we're looking at $18,000 plus delivery.
12 inches seems like
12 inches is what
Well,
you
we have-
need
we
around the
have to.
base of playground equipment. But here's the thing. I rough averaged reducing where we would put 12 inches of mulch, and I narrowed that down to an area of about 3,600 square feet. At $27, that math is totally wrong.
But without containing that, it's
No,
not
but
going to stay.
Yeah, I know it's not gonna stay, but it would be a temporary solution.
Yes.
We'd be looking at 132 cubic yards. That comes out to about $3,500. Much smaller trucks, we're talking one or two instead of a trailer truck. So probably another $300 to $500 delivery. At $45, we were looking at $6,000 for the same amount of mulch at the highest bid.
And I haven't heard back from Stockhouse on this, but I know that he's been having trouble keeping up this year, with staffing and everything. But Pam, I think I remember that was one tractor trailer load and we were around $2,000 to $3,000, weren't we? But it was a couple years ago.
It's a couple of
So
years ago.
here's what
Without being spread out.
Here's what I would like to maybe recommend to keep this moving. Regardless of what we do, we need to get, I think, we have to have 3 bids because of the cost of this. Can we at least make a decision here tonight that instead of trying to address 11,000 square feet, can we look at your recommendation of approximately addressing the 3,600 square feet? And then work to get 3 bids
Okay.
for cost of delivery, cost of the bark mulch and delivery? And then we'd have to think about addressing how we're gonna get that spread. But could we at least agree that we would shrink it down? I think this is a perfect opportunity of where we'd probably have to look at maybe going to the revolving account. I think this is what it was meant for, the big items that we really have to address. So
Yeah,
if
I
you
agree.
would be willing to, is everybody in agreement if we
Yeah.
looked at 3,600?
Now, if
Okay.
I cannot get 3 companies to commit,
You have to contact 3. If you don't get all 3 to respond, you're okay.
Well, the other thing you could ask them is, how many yards can you get in a triaxle trailer?
Well, they,
it's variable depending on whose dump trailer, whose dump truck. That's the problem, even though they're all supposed to be standard.
Well, they should be able to say,
Rough
for us,
Yeah,
because, it's, whether you're putting
it's really hard.
3/4 of the way full, or it's a full trailer, they're
It's
probably
still
still gonna
ours.
charge us the same amount for delivering
Yes.
a full versus 3/4.
So when I'm gonna be a little bit naive here, but, so when you talk a full trailer versus, part of what I look at is how far up in there can they get and dump it? Versus us having, no, regardless of what size, they're not
not in
gonna
there.
be, no.
The closest they're gonna get is on top of the sandbox.
So, I know 10 years ago or so, when we got a mountain of stuff, it was delivered basically right where we were parking, doing the walkthrough, and then we
Wheelbarrowed it.
we rented the tractor from Quick Lift. bucket loader.
I can provide,
But we'd also we were loading up
yeah,
wheelbarrows.
I
we're
can
loading
provide
up-
us with a bobcat.
Put on the upper part?
It'd be easier to get it from the lower because for the equipment to be able to get up and around the sandbox and set up down that path, yeah.
Yeah.
So I can get us
Oh, okay, because of.
a bobcat.
But if we're wheelbarrowing it.
All right, so let's start
I will start with bids
the bids
and
to come
delivery.
back.
Yeah.
Come back next month with that. And then, did you have any information on the sandbox, or were we?
I have my numbers on a sandbox. I have not been able to get anybody to commit to doing the sandbox. A lot of people have said that they don't want to have anything to do with it because it's going to require, for them to do it by their standards, it's going to require a lot more than if we were to do it, right? The proper way to do that sandbox is to go in there, rip everything out, scrape all the sand out, take it down, make a new level surface with stone underneath it, and then build retaining walls and put new sand in, right? That's the proper way to do it. For retaining walls alone, we're looking at just shy of $2,000. If you were to build a 25 by 25, so it'd be a slightly smaller. This is just the numbers I went off of. 25 by 25 with 6 by 6
Pressure treated?
pressure treated ground contact timbers, and everybody's prices were right about average. I came to just shy of $2,000. That's timber, spike nails, ground stakes, and the timbers. That is not including stone. On average, the stone, we should probably be looking at like 300 in stone max. That's just based off of what I've been doing with other stuff. And that's not labor. That's highly labor intensive. Highly labor intensive.
So so I have a thought, you can disagree with me. So we are hoping to address the slide by the fall. We're gonna address the bark mulch.
It would make
the-
sense to do it at the same time.
Well, I was gonna say, the other thing was to defer the sandbox. It's not dangerous. How much do we bite off in one season? Because some of this is gonna require some of us being down there to do the work. Do we address, and we're hoping to address some of the overgrowth in the contract, do we defer the sandbox? You fix it up really nice, it's done by the end of the summer, then boom, winter comes, or do you wait till the spring? And that allows us a little more time to plan and think about it. Because I think we're gonna have our hands full trying to get,
It's gonna be a lot just to do the mulch.
yeah, so I would
Plus, you could
recommend,
damage the sandbox on the way with the mulch.
yeah, I would recommend that we continue to drill down on the numbers for the sandbox, make that a priority for the spring. That way we don't risk damaging it with the bark mulch and bobcats and everything else. And try to resolve at least the slide in the bark mulch this year.
I agree. I'll continue to farm bids out for the sandbox.
Okay.
And it can be expanded. This was mainly just my
Yeah.
numbers.
And
but
we still
just an
have,
idea.
and we
That's
still
what
The other
have
thing is, you
this
know,
one here.
If you're gonna put the sand in, do you wanna put a cover over just that sandbox?
And that was the other reason why I came up with 25 by 25. It's not hard to make covers that would be relatively lightweight, or at least for winter coverage over the sandbox, if you go 25 by
Well,
25.
I was talking a shade screen cover.
Oh, yeah,
Take
yeah.
off, that you take off for the winter, like we do with
Yeah.
the other two that are down there, that we take it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, that one could be repurposed.
One of these, it's funny you say that, because one of these vendors, I don't remember which of the two, also gave me a quote for a sandbox cover.
Yeah.
And I didn't include it because it wasn't something we'd talked about, but, I mean, I
But the
could
problem is
throw
with
it
the
up
cover
there.
is,
It's just,
people are still gonna go down there and play with it, which means they're gonna take it off,
Yeah,
which means they're not gonna
exactly.
put it back.
this one
Right,
was
so-
one that went up, you had to pull up poles that went up and down. It's just one more thing that's gonna break.
No, I would just say, are you gonna put a shade screen
Yeah,
cover
yeah.
over it, so at least if kids are sitting out playing in it,
Well-
you know, they got a little bit of shade.
So the
My
current,
recommendation was to repurpose the shade cover that's down there.
yeah, the current sandbox is covered half to three,
Roughly half,
yeah, by the current sunshade that was put up. So, I mean, and again, do we need a sandbox that's as big as the one we have, or as in
I
the
was trying to
spring?
save us a little bit
Yeah,
of money.
we look at something a little smaller.
We'd be looking at about another, half
All right.
of that cost. So say that was at roughly 2, say maybe 3 if we expanded all the way out to the 26 by 32.
So we,
Or you move it so it's under it.
yeah.
Well,
So-
that was the other, if it's 25 by 25, I think that's a 20 by 20 shade cover or something. That would cover most of it.
So why don't we do this? We'll move forward with the wood chips and the slide. We've got some good information on the sandbox, and let's try to we'll talk about it through the winter and make it a priority for the spring, as we look at how much
I
money we
agree.
have, okay?
How many yards of wood chips were you looking at?
So which one?
Was it 132 cubic yards for the 36?
So for the 36, we'll say 3,600 square feet. That came out to 132 cubic yards.
Okay, so all right, so I've got an estimate. He said rough estimate of 130 yards of chips, $3,000, delivery $750, labor to spread chips and weed whack 3 feet around the fence and inside fence, $2,750, for a total of $6,500.
So let's do this,
Can we get
Put-
that written down?
yeah.
I'm gonna ask him to.
get it sent to us so we can have it on the agenda for the next meeting. It could be included in one of the bids.
Yeah,
if we need
absolutely,
to.
yeah, that's a
Okay.
bid right there.
All right, just to move on, are we okay to move on? So we can finish this up? I think we already talked about the Inison repairs, so we're gonna go beyond that. I just wanted to bring up really quick the summer barbecue for the seniors.
I've had no progress with that. I have
so-
made phone calls and I have gotten nothing.
All right, so let me tell you what I've heard from both Hands in Hands Senior Center and the Ware-Rights, because I've met with both of them and got some feedback. There is enthusiasm about doing it, definitely at the lake. A number of folks said midweek, a number of folks said the weekend, so I think we could pick. Most were in favor of doing it more as a lunchtime than an evening.
More of a luncheon, yep.
Hamburgers were a bigger recommendation than a chicken barbecue, so that makes it a little bit easier. I had tossed out the month of sometime in August under the pavilion. However, with the heat this summer, I would recommend that we look at early September, not even try to hit August, because I don't think the seniors will come out in the heat.
I wouldn't send
yeah.
anybody out in this.
So what I will do is I will try to see if I can find anybody who would be willing to cater a hot dog and hamburger salad kind of thing for them. This Hands in Hands identified an individual who would come and play music, sing, entertainment for them.
Sorry, I am just amused by the idea of a hamburger and hot dog salad.
And salad. Can I say salad?
You missed the I was just letting it go, like I was just rolling with it. I think you
I wasn't
missed
going to say anything.
All right, so
Candy
the only
salad.
question I have for you guys, are we still good with trying to pursue doing something for the seniors
Yes.
this summer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so
And
I
you
will,
could maybe check with Tabitha about that. She might be able to.
She might be more open in September, so I will specifically,
Or
I'll ask
give
her
me her
again
name and
about
I will-
September.
and I can reach out to her if you don't have
And it
time.
could be during
No,
the week.
Tabitha's part of my
Okay.
scout pack.
They would be very happy with hamburgers and hot dogs. We could
Okay.
do chips and maybe just one salad.
Yeah.
And we could do ice cream or something. I even thought about maybe talking with Ilsley's or somebody locally who we could do something. So I'm willing to continue to work with both groups as long as we're all comfortable with doing something for the seniors. We have that money there, and I think,
I'm gonna throw this out to my pack tomorrow. We have our planning meeting tomorrow, and September is a quiet month for us. So I will throw this out there to see if we can have any involvement in it. I will contact Tabitha Wood about if she can donate her time and food truck on a scaled down factor from her. I will continue to attempt to make progress with American Legion. I'm getting no response to phone calls whatsoever, and I don't know why.
I do have,
about to show up on
who have you
Thursday
been,
night and start
who have
buying
you
beers
been
from-
calling? I have somebody's business card, I talked to him over the summer,
Okay.
Mike Smith. Do you want me to try to call him back?
I'll
I
call him.
emailed him. Here's his, do you want his
Just
email?
write it.
Did you try the McLean's? You said Legion.
Yeah.
Did you try the McLean's?
I just have contacted the Legion Hall phone number, and I sent an email
I
to the
can,
generic.
I can reach out to Charlie if you want.
If you don't mind making out that call as well, to see if
Yeah.
you get any
No,
progress.
I don't mind, so that would be for doing the senior thing in September, right?
Okay, that'd be great. All
Thank
right,
you.
so,
No
and
problem.
and I will, we can do email, again, no decisions, but just to
Transfer
continue to give
information.
updates. But I will let both organizations know that we're probably going to look at something in September rather than August. I'm just worried if this heat continues, the seniors.
Remember though, in September, we're only open on weekends.
Okay,
So we'll have to do a weekend,
Well,
or we authorize us to do it
well,
one day.
but,
But during the week, oh yeah, I love
over,
Denise.
over 50% of them said they would be happy with a Saturday, so.
You just plan a
Yeah,
Saturday.
we can look at both. All right, just a couple things really quick. We'll defer on the East Road stuff maybe next month.
There's
There's
no
nothing,
update.
Okay.
there's no movement on East Road.
There's
Sorry.
supposed to be, they were
I
supposed to
already
do
know
some
there's-
sort of like, they're doing a study, right? Who's doing that?
So James, real quick, I feel like we've gotten nothing, and when I was looking for an update, mostly what I was trying to get was, have they heard anything back from legal? Because I've heard it, and I don't need it, we'll do it next week, but I was just looking for even the higher level. We've had recommendations, we've had studies, if you could come back with a high level, it may not be an answer. It's been crickets, so just for next month, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks. Email from Lauren, a woman reached out to us, I don't know if you saw the email, she had an archery business.
Yes.
And was looking to, wonder if she could rent our fields. It may be too late in the season, but would we consider ever renting any of our fields to a business like that? If they came here with a,
They voted it down, or the select board, the last time we asked, said no.
yeah, but I went back to them and
Yeah.
since then, and they've said they have no issues with us charging outside organizations,
So,
not,
yeah.
not locals.
I guess it would just make sure which field it is, right?
So if
Probably don't
I,
want to do it by the gazebo.
well,
Like lawn
what I'd like to do.
First day of school.
What I'd like to do is respond back to her and just say, you need to come to our meeting, you need to have our formal proposal, like the lake owners did, and then we would entertain that, but I wanted to make sure we would entertain if it was
In which-
reasonable.
Well, I
In
would
which
want
field?
to
In
ask
which field?
questions
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
Yeah,
safety
absolutely.
and liability.
Yeah, all right. And then the last thing, and I know we don't have time tonight, so I'm just going to ask you all. I sent out the lawn care, I gave you all a copy of the lawn care contract, and I had already written my notes on it. And if you guys could take a look at it, Naomi really is going to start the bid, and I want us to be
When is the bid due?
like,
Now?
no, I think we will be okay if we get to August, but not beyond August.
Well,
So,
I mean, the one thing I noticed is right on 1C, only between July 15th
In August
and
15th?
15th, you're only mowing for a month?
One regular, no, I think it's, hold on.
well, be careful.
One regular mowing only between the dates of July 15th and
Right,
August
but
15th.
you gotta read the whole thing because they're specific about certain properties. It doesn't mean that, so, for me, if you, and again, I don't want to take up a lot of time tonight, but if you go to the third page, where most of my notes were, where we would want to add inside the Bolton Field playground, around structures, the sunshades, the picnic tables, really, how do we address this? And I did question Chase Park. Again, when I have no problem that we're putting lime down and we're seeding, but could the lawn care service do that as part of the contract? This is our opportunity.
They should.
And same thing with the,
The one thing I had on that, on Chase Park, is the spring cleanup needs to be done
Right.
by the Friday, 1 week prior to Memorial Day.
so,
'Cause last year, we were in there on Saturday, the weekend before Memorial Day.
Sometimes
and they
those
were there.
things happen.
And they were
It's
there,
raining
but if
or
we could say,
whatever.
hey, get it done prior to, we could just say, hey, prior to that.
so what I
Because
really,
everything else says prior to Memorial Day,
Right.
I just want that one pushed up a week.
Specifically
So-
called out.
right,
Specifically called out to say, make it a week before, or so that it's done, clean, ready to go.
I think there was an actual issue though, with rain or something.
There
or
was,
something
there might
like
have
that.
been last year, but just.
I agree.
It may not be,
Yes.
it may, this is, we're putting this out because it may not be, if Stockhouse doesn't win, or someone else comes in with a really low bid and
Correct.
takes it over.
Yeah.
Correct,
We,
right. So
we're
here,
dealing with a new we may be dealing with a new company,
Mm-hmm.
so that's why that's the only reason why I'm calling it out. I'm not knocking Stockhouse in any way, shape, or form.
No,
So-
it's a valid call out.
It's a
So-
valid call out on that
Right.
one particular piece.
so here's what I'd like, for the sake of time, because this is gonna be a negotiation. So if you could each take this home before the next meeting, write on it like I did. Each person could give it back to me. I could consolidate what we're looking for and give it to Naomi. Naomi may be asking one of us to sit in on the negotiations or to help write the bid, but at least we would have that, instead of sitting in the next meeting hashing it all out.
Yeah.
If you just hand me your sheets, you've already seen my notes, then I could consolidate it and give it to Naomi, and it would save us time at this meeting. But
Okay.
this is our chance, because it's a 3-year contract, so if we don't get it
We
in,
don't get it in now.
we're not gonna get it.
Yeah.
All right, I think I've rushed us through everything. Does anybody know about, there was an email that Purington Field has some landscaping issues around the back fence? I know you guys had taken care of,
It's overgrown, I mean, we
Just
did,
overgrown?
it's overgrown like crazy again, and
Okay.
that they are supposed to be taking care of
okay,
it.
so
and they
we need,
did.
all right, so we're gonna, all right,
We need to actually, we need to call them
okay,
and have them go out and clear, because according to their own bid,
Okay.
3 foot out from the fence
Okay.
Okay,
is the
so-
current bid,
Do you want me
so,
to follow up with them
if you would,
tomorrow?
that would be
Yeah.
great.
thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, anything else that anybody wanted to bring before the meeting tonight? I'm sorry the agenda was packed, but we had a lot going on.
Can we call DPW about filling in the whole Purington parking lot?
The one that's right by the shed?
Yeah. Just dumping gravel and filling it in.
There's a pile of gravel there already at
There was
Purington.
a pile of dirt and it's overgrown, that was meant for the fields.
I just wondered if we could,
It'll just compact and make
Okay.
a mud hole.
can you do that? Or,
DPW?
yeah, or do you want me to reach out to Jason?
If you can get a hold of
Okay.
Jason, that'd be great, otherwise I'm just
And
gonna.
where's the
message
hole in
Naomi.
here?
It's
My,
right in front of the shed in the
I don't
parking lot.
communicate directly with them, that's why I communicate with Naomi when we have that.
I,
So you said 3 feet
all right,
around the
take care of that.
fences.
Correct, is what, it's in that bid right there, which means that's an existing
Okay.
component of their bid at the moment.
Alrighty, anything else?
No.
So we're gonna meet again second Tuesday in August, that will be the last time on the second Tuesday. All right, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn, if anybody wants to make one.
I will make a motion to end our meeting at 9:48 PM.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Thank you, Dave.
we have a motion made by Matt, seconded by Dave, to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Okay, you gotta wait for him.
I know. Tell me what.
All approved.
Are you gonna give your notes?
I will shoot them to you, so
Okay.
I have to clean them up.
Alright, and then I'll get them.
And I will collect the attendance sheet.
Oh, I